Right, hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and I'm live on a Monday morning. Well, Monday lunchtime here in the UK. It's morning over in Texas, at Boca Chica in Texas, because I'm covering the live launch, test launch, fingers crossed, of the SpaceX Starship and Superheavy booster. So I'm watching the coverage from NASA Spaceflight, which isn't an official NASA web YouTube page, but they're just called that. But they have great coverage. Also on the background there, that is the official SpaceX feed. That's going to go live in just over an hour. But I'm going to cover it. But let's have an intro before we crack on. I've got to do my intros and stuff and get all that out of the way. So be back in 5 seconds. Or 10 seconds, whatever. I thought it was 5 seconds, it's 10 seconds. Whatever. Anyway, I'm back. Right, so let's get the coverage up. Before we start, I've put the links in the description. And don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. I'm also on Rumble, we're not live, and Spotify, not live, and Amazon Music, podcasts, and Google Podcasts. It'll all appear, tomorrow or whenever, on those platforms. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links are in the description, as are links to my 2 books, Silent Predator, Light-Hearted. Silent Predator is a short horror novella. See, I'm all excited. And Mercury Rapids, where are we? That way. A light-hearted sci-fi action adventure. There we go. They're on Amazon, blah, 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 all that stuff. Right, anyway, because how excited I've got my Starship T-shirt on from back when Starship Ship 15 did its test launch, test flight, and landed successfully. So that was fun. But anyway, let's get this coverage up. There we go. There we go. So, which way shall I go? Shall I move my webcam? I will adjust my webcam. I'll make myself a little bit smaller because I'm in the way of the text. So I'll move myself up there. That's better, isn't it? That's better. And we'll it's alt, and whatever that is. Just do that. Right. So I'll leave myself up there, out of the way. Hang on, there's me, what do you call it? Me logo. Where is it? Where is it? I'll move that as well. Move that bounder as well. You can go up there. You can go up there. There. Right. Where were we? So here we go. So like I say, I'll be putting in the audio of this of what they're saying on NASA Spaceflight, because they're the experts. I'm no expert. I'm just really excited about this stuff. But in a nutshell, Starship is Elon Musk's 50s styled rocket that he wants to. He's got a contract from NASA to go to the moon, to land people on the moon. They've also got their other stuff, haven't they, that they're doing. But this is the first orbital test flight. It's done. See, you can't see the top of that now for me. Tell you, I'm always in the way. Tell you what, I'll move myself down here. I know what I'll do. No, I can't. Can I? Yes, I can. I'll move. Oh, can I move this to the top? Does it say it? I can't read me. Can't read the writing. Either I move to top, center on screen, flip. No, I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Right, where are we? I'll move my webcam up to the top. Come on, move. That's it. Right, up to there. And now I'll move it over here. There we go. It'll go over there. Look. Right. So I'm out of the way now, aren't I? I'm out of the way now. There we go, sis. There we go. You can't see that now. Oh, dear. Live stuff. I should have had all this sorted out, shouldn't I? There we go. Right, we're off. We're off and running. Where was I? Yes, he's got a contract to go to the moon, but really, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars, and this is his vehicle that he wants to send people to Mars. He wants to send thousands of starships to Mars, set up a colony, become the king of Mars, and all that stuff. He's not said that, but you know that's what I call him. King Elon the First of Mars. Anyway, the view we're seeing here is the live feed from Boca Chica in Texas, where Starbase is, SpaceX Starbase, where they've got their launch tower, and there we see. Hang on, can you see? There we go, my mouse pointer. Oh, as soon as I do that, it goes off. That's the orbital launch mount there. We see the bottom of the Superheavy booster. This is the tank farm, what's called the tank farm, where all the fuel is loaded. So we're getting lots of steam and stuff as they're doing the fueling up of the vehicle, as they call it. It's the largest vehicle, largest rocket basically ever launched into orbit, bigger than the Saturn V, bigger than the Soviet N1, bigger than the space shuttle, obviously. I think it's even bigger than Artemis. SLS is even bigger than that one. It doesn't look it when you see it. Can you see it there? From a distance, it doesn't look that impressive, but it is huge. When you see people next to it, it is massive. On this flight, they're going to go into orbit. Well, technically it's not orbit, it's like just about suborbital. It's going to go around once. It's launching from Texas. It's going to splash down in Hawaii, the Starship part, the top part. There we go, that's the top part there. As you can see, it's not quite, the sun's not quite up in Texas yet. I don't know what time it is there. They don't have a timestamp. How far behind? I think they're about 7 hours, 6 hours behind us, and it's 12, so it's about 6 a.m. there now, isn't it? Just coming up to 6 a.m. I think they've got like a couple of hours, 2-hour launch window, so they're launching sometime between like 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. There you go, that's the countdown, the provisional countdown. Anything could happen. It might not even launch today. We could get a scrub. To be honest, that's more likely. You know, it's a test flight, so this is where they iron out problems. So it might not even happen. Fingers crossed it will. But as I said, if everything goes as planned, it will launch. It'll launch after about 3 or 4 minutes. The vehicles will separate. The Starship part, the top part, will separate, ignite its vacuum engines, and head into orbit, although it's technically not orbit, but it's near enough. The booster will fall back down. It'll do what's called a boost back, so it'll head nearly, when it does a boost back, it's usually heading back to where it launched from, but it's not going to quite do that. But it'll do a boost back, and it's going to splash down in the Gulf of Mexico. I don't think either vehicle's going to be recovered. I don't think. As I said, this is just a test flight, and then Starship will go, into more or less into orbit. It's going to go around once, then come back down over Hawaii or near Hawaii, and it's going to try and land on the sea. It's going to do what it would do, on a landing pad. It'll try and land, but obviously it's not going to. It's going to land on the sea, and then it'll submerge. And I'm not sure if they're going to recover the Starship. I can't actually remember. I think they might, but we will see. But that's the plan, right? So let's have a listen to what they're saying at Starbase. I'll have to mute my microphone so we don't get an echo. So let's see what they're saying.
It's really confirmed any recycle times in case of certain abort moments. So I would at this moment help my speculation of if that would be possible or not. We would have to wait for SpaceX to confirming that.
And do we know how long the window will be open for today? Sawyer, if you want to take that.
It's the total window is 150 minutes, which would open in about an hour from now, so it's 7 Central Time. So I guess that would be, if my math is right, 9:30 Central Time, 10:30 Eastern Time.
Yeah, we're all running on a little bit, a bit of a lack of sleep. So any irregularities with your mathematics, I'm sure it can be forgiven. And Alex confirming that the in the back channel, 9:30 in the morning. Central is when the window closes. So that's pretty much the time period that SpaceX has to play with. It's been a little while since we've gone over some of the new memberships. I'd just like to thank everybody who has become a Red Team member, or even a Launch Director member, or even a Capcom member. All the different member levels. If you've become one, thank you so much. We've got some more store messages in here. We've got some more contributions from overseas as well. Thank you, everybody. We also have Satoshi gifting 5 Red Team memberships. That means 5 people who may have not been able to afford a Red Team membership now get access to the Red Team membership program, and you get access to the multi-view to see pretty much, I think, nearly every, or the majority of the live feeds that we have out of Starbase. You can see them all at the same time. Some feeds aren't necessarily on Starbase Live, some feeds aren't necessarily on the commentary broadcast, and it means you get to see them before anybody else. And Dank Jeb with 100 USD, thank you very much, just asking when hop. That's a big contribution. Thank you so much for that. And Sawyer, I think the big hop we're about to see today is still looking on track for about an hour and 45 minutes time.
Yes, I appreciate the throwback there to all of the hop testing, the when hop, which technically this is just a very high altitude, long distance kind of hop. It just won't be landing back at Starbase. You'll have one portion of it with the booster scheduled to land just off the coast in the Gulf of Mexico, and the ship scheduled to splash into the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii.
It's a long jump hop, if I
There
may
you
say
go.
so. The Starship's now competing in the Olympics. Let's see here. Paul Smith is asking, this is a good question. Is anyone at the production facility, or has it been evacuated? So we're just under, or just above 1 hour and 45 minutes until launch. Now, Adrian, has the production site been evacuated? What's the status of like that and the roads at the moment?
That would be an area that is well into the exclusion zone, the blast zone, so there should not be a single person there right now.
Fingers crossed. Hang on. Just
Yeah,
clearing my throat quickly.
Yeah, they're keeping a very tight range around it, so of where people can watch. There is also a reminder, a keep-out zone for boats. There are marked designated areas where boats can watch, and any other you'll be visited by the Coast Guard. And there is also airspace closures that will occur. So if you are out there on a boat, please check the NOTMARs. If you are in the air, please check the NOTAMs.
Yeah. And please, I'm asking you all now, please do not cause a range violation, because the vents so far look good, the plane looks good, the weather looks good from what we've heard so far. Please just no range violations today, please. That's all I'm asking for. I'm going to hit a few more of these contributions and such, so thank you for everyone who's becoming such as as a Capcom member. That means you get access to the Discord. Everybody loves the Discord. We also have a new PadRap member. We have a contribution here without a message, but thank you for that anyways. More Capcom members and a few more different super chats and the like, such as $20 from MCB. Thank you very much. Another $20 from A Train Games. A Capcom member here from Leonard.
That's while they're going through their super chats and stuff like that, and new members. I was just setting up the chat box there, and hopefully, if anybody wants to join in the chat, feel free. Send me a message. Tell me how rubbish I am, and tell me to get off because you want to watch the proper stuff. But as you heard them say there, it's going to go around and splash down in Hawaii, or off Hawaii. Fingers crossed. What we're looking at there, as I said, is the tank farm. That's where all the fuel comes from. And what people have said, it's very close, isn't it, to the rocket? They've got what's called a burn, which it's supposed to deflect, the blast over the cylinders. Fingers crossed it'll work. I think the planning, they said they weren't going to, but I think they're planning on doing what's called a trench, a diversion trench, that's going to divert the blast in future launches. I think they're planning that. I don't think they've started it yet. I think they've got obviously a launch facility over at Kennedy Space Center, and I think they have flame trenches, don't they, there? So anyway, let's go back and listen to them. I'll have to mute my mic so there's no echo.
And we also have 50 USD here from Ryan Webber saying thank you very much. Oh, not saying thank you very much. I'm saying thank you very much for that. That's a big...
By the way, just shut them up a minute. Hang on, I've done the wrong thing. Hang on.
Thank you so much for that. That'll go a long way in...
Sorry, just mute him. What we're seeing there, that there, is the what's called that's my brain's not working now. The quick, I can't remember the quick release. I tell you, my brain stopped working because I'm stupid. Never mind. Listen to them again.
An OFT patch sticker being sold there. Very interesting indeed. OFT patch, a very popular item as well on the store. Oh, we got the millimeters answer. Millimeters. Oh,
Milliliters.
Here we go.
Yes.
There, that's what I meant, Sawyer. That's what I meant. We got the milliliters answer alongside a $2 super chat here from Big Country saying, what is this? 14,166,616.82 milliliters of liquid methane. And we got another contribution from them a few minutes later, another $2 saying 526,024,754.4 milliliters of liquid oxygen. So that's the answer to the question from about, I don't know, 20 minutes ago. Thank you very much for working that out, Big Country, doing the density calculations for Ian. And we've had just in the last few seconds here, we've had a big contribution come in here, $200 from Studley Dude 2000. Thank you very much for that. That's a huge contribution to the team. That is greatly appreciated. That is an absolutely massive contribution, one of the biggest we've had so far today. So yeah, thank you so much. It's contributions like that that really help to make this possible, help us to keep people on site, help us to keep the robots running, help us to upgrade kit and everything along those lines. So thank you so much. That will go a long way in helping to keep the show running.
To add on to your message, we want to thank you for your dedication as well for streaming it every day. And I know we've all been waiting for this a long time. So thank you very much for sticking with us all that time as well.
We also have a where is it? An 80 Australian dollar donation here, which is also quite a large contribution. Thank you very much for that. That is saying they've been watching since Starhopper. Thanks for your awesome coverage, professionalism, and humour. Go Starship. Yeah, I think that's the overarching message at the moment, isn't it, Adrian? Just go Starship. Everyone just wants this thing to be successful and go the best it can. So we're approaching about T-minus 1 hour and 40 minutes. Adrian, could you just give us a little rundown of what we should be kind of expecting next for everyone who's joined in the last few moments?
The next sign we will see is this OLM vent. We can right now see on the right side to stop. As soon as that stops, which might happen any second, we don't know exactly when. If that happens, they are in propellant loading. This just the situation. So basically, as long as this OLM vent is going, they are holding for propellant load. Once this stops, we are in propellant load for Starship's first flight test.
Okay, so looking at the timer there, it's 1 hour and 39 minutes, T-minus 1 hour 39 minutes, which in 5 seconds will be exactly 2 minutes away. That's when booster liquid oxygen and liquid methane, there we go, 2 minutes till booster liquid oxygen and liquid methane load begins. So that is when we should start to see the OLM vent turn off, stop its waterfalling over the marshland, and then we will start to see the frost level rising on the booster. And then after the booster, approximately 16 minutes later, we will see methane start being loaded into the ship, and a few minutes after that, we'll see LOX starting to be loaded into the ship.
And what I think that's really entertaining or interesting as you see it fill up is that you'll see two distinct different frost lines, and that's where you can see where the two different tanks on board each vehicle is, the one that's used for the liquid oxygen and the one that's used for the liquid methane.
I will I'll probably try and explain this a bit better when we get some more sunlight. It'll probably be easier to see, but it's quite faint at the moment. But you can kind of see in the middle of the booster, which is the big silver bit at the bottom there. In the middle of the booster, you have the they're called what are they called? Sorry, I forgot what they're called. They're the steel things that run down the outside that help give structural support. Are they stripes?
They're almost like
Something.
ribs, or rivets,
Yeah.
or yeah.
No, not the chines. They're the stringers. Thanks, Brady,
yes.
in the back channel. That's what they're called, stringers. So the above the stringers in the middle of the booster, that is the methane tank, and below it, basically everything below there, all the way down to the engine section, that is the liquid oxygen tank. So that kind of helps to differentiate where the two different lines of ice will start to form on the outside as the cryogenic propellants are loaded into the booster. And
Yeah.
go on, Sawyer.
I was gonna say right there in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, there you go. So it's quite faint. So hopefully when the sun starts to rise, that will become a little bit more evident, especially with the frost coming in. That'll make it look even, make it even easier to see as the frost will start to rise. And the propellant load should have technically started 10 seconds ago.
Well,
Is the
we'll keep an
OLM
eye.
vent going away?
That's what I mean. We'll keep an eye on the OLM vent, which again is all the lines being purged at the base there of Starship, and then once that slows down, we should see fueling begin.
There we go. So that OLM vent is still going. So it looks as if we may be a few minutes behind the schedule we were given by SpaceX. But again, I will just add that maybe the timeline we were given by SpaceX on the website isn't exactly precise, Sawyer. Could it be a few minutes out perhaps, or could they have changed some things on the day, do we think?
It is very possible that there could be a few minutes, give or take, on every single milestone, essentially. They might have gone into a slight hold just to confirm things. There might be delay in the T0. We don't know any of that, though. But yes, it is possible that it could just be off by a couple of minutes.
And there is a question here from Lynx. Adrian, I'll throw this one to you about Starship's re-entry. First of all, will it survive re-entry and landing in the Pacific? And if so, will Ship 24 be reused?
No, it will not survive the landing. It might survive re-entry if everything goes very, very well. But they are not planning to perform any sort of slowdown burn, like any sort of landing burn in the Pacific Ocean. Ship 24 will hit the water very hard and will not be used on any future flights. There's no second flight for it, 100%.
And you can see there in the right box there is the kind of purple hue starting to rise over Starbase as dawn approaches. You can also see the lights in the tower a little bit more clearly, and also the very red lights from the tanks over on the left. That OLM vent still pumping the technically fueling from the timeline SpaceX gave us about a few days ago now. Fueling should have started just over 2 minutes ago, so we are still awaiting the confirmation of fueling beginning with the OLM vent basically stopping that waterfall, which you can see there kind of spewing down into the launch site.
Yeah, a reminder, that's why we're watching that vent in the bottom left there. That's what they use to purge the lines, and then once that is turned off, that means that it's no longer liquid nitrogen or anything going through it. What would be going into the vehicle would be the super chilled propellants, which again in this case is the liquid oxygen and the liquid methane.
I'm going to run through some more contributions quickly because this is pretty much what helps to fund the operations here at NSF. So a big thanks to everybody who has been super chatting and purchasing items off of the store. Christy is saying that they've got 2 Starship plushies.
Right, I'll have to go through the super chats again. Let's have another little discussion about what's going on. I still can't remember what that's called. I can't remember. Rapid disconnect or quick disconnect arm. But that's basically, it's holding it down basically. When it launches, that will swing back. And there's another one further up on an arm. Anyway, but the chances are, as I've said, chances are that this will not be a successful flight. Hopefully it will be. Chances are it won't. There's obviously, because it's a test launch, there's obviously a big chance of what they call an RUD, rapid unexpected disassembly, as you know, it'll just disintegrate or explode or something like that. But SpaceX have got a good track record with the rockets, haven't they? Remember the first launch of the Falcon Heavy? Remember that launched the car into space? That went off without a hitch, didn't it? That was cool. Starman heading off for Mars is still out there in his car, isn't he? Is Starman. So they have a good track record. So fingers crossed it'll go well. But as I said, the likelihood of a scrub, as in a cancellation or postponement, is quite high on a test launch. But fingers crossed that won't happen. What else? What else can I say? Every time I go off, I tell you, I've got a rubbish setup, and I say it might be a bit jerky and stuff. Every time I go off to check things, it blanks out the screen for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's a Streamlabs thing. I don't know. See what happens when I do that. Does that make it go off? No, that's kept it on for some reason. All right, whatever. Just check my emails while I'm here. Yes, I know I'm live, and yeah, I know about that as well. Nobody wants to talk to me. Never mind. So is this gonna? See, it goes off when I do that. Stupid thing. Right. Anyway, never mind. Anyway, right. So, what we're going to do, I can't remember. We'll go back and see what they're saying again. Let me mute myself. I've got
The dawn of Artemis streams. We've now got the dawn of Starship, as we are pretty much approaching. Fingers crossed, Sawyer. The final 90 minutes to go. Quickly though, Ali, again, another 50 Red Team memberships. That is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for that. That is awesome to see. That is a big contribution there, and we are very grateful for that. And of course, all of the people who just received one of them, make sure to thank Ali in chat. Absolutely doing a fantastic job at gifting memberships today. It's brilliant to see. So thank you so much, Ali, for that. That's really, really kind of you.
And I do just want to point
must
out
be
again,
nice to be monetized.
clock is continuing on our clock, at least to count down to SpaceX's original T0, which they said was approximately 8 a.m. Central Time. We are waiting for confirmation of fuel load, so the time might shift by a couple minutes or more. So just putting that out there, that we are keeping an eye on waiting for confirmation of propellant load to begin.
I'm just trying to see at the moment. So the WB-57 we were tracking earlier, number 927, has reached 45,000 feet and is currently, I'd say, probably about just over a third of the way towards Starbase, flying over the Gulf of Mexico. I saw a couple messages in chat saying that the other WB-57, number 926, is on its way. But I'm putting it into here and I can't seem to find its transponder turned on at the moment. So if we get any news about that, I will surely let you know. But there's already one WB-57 on its way, so I do not think the other will be on its way. We are approaching launch very quickly now. 90 minutes until T0. That OLM vent's still going, however. So Adrian, at the moment, would you say we're not too sure what the current status of the count is?
Well, based on everything we know, the loading of the vehicle has not started. If you look at the initial timeline that SpaceX has posted, and this is all based on a lot of just puzzling this together, I would right now say that it doesn't seem like 8 a.m. is still possible. However, there might be change in these flows that completely change our indicators. But if we look at the wet rest, if we look at static fire, this doesn't look to me like propellant loading has begun, which means they are right now not tracking 8 a.m. anymore.
Okay, and we are about 9 minutes off when that should have happened at the moment, so it seems as if 8:09 might be a more accurate time if this, assuming the OLM vent dies now, which you can see it hasn't. I'm also going to see if we've got any more questions we can ask, because these do keep coming in. Again, everybody, if you have a question, you want it answered before the launch of the world's most powerful rocket, put it in chat, tag us at NASA Spaceflight. We'll do our best to answer. And I'm going to go to this question from Theodore, asking, how long will the entire thing take from ignition to landing in the ocean? Well, Sawyer, it's actually going to split into two parts. So the booster, when's that going to land in the ocean? And the ship, when's that going to impact the Pacific?
So the current plan is that the booster and the ship will separate about 2 minutes and 50 seconds or so into flight, at which point the booster will perform a boost back, so it'll turn itself around and burn itself back towards Starbase, and then was expected to splash down in the Gulf of Mexico about 8 minutes or so after liftoff. Meanwhile, Starship is expected to fire its engines till about 9 minutes 20 seconds after liftoff, and then will coast for quite a while. It will not relight its engines, but it is expected to begin its re-entry about an hour 17 minutes into flight, ending with its splashdown an hour and a half after taking off from Starbase.
Sounds exciting. So our clock now under 90 minutes, but that OLM vent there in the bottom right quadrant of your screen there, that's still going. That's the indication of when prop load has begun. That will turn off. That it has not turned off, so prop load is yet to begin. And prop load begins at about T minus 1 hour and 39 minutes. So when that OLM vent goes off, we'll then know that prop load has begun. We're getting another question here from Melting Rocks into Metal, asking where mission control is located. We answered this a little bit earlier, but of course many more people have joined the broadcast since then, so thank you everybody for tuning in on this Monday morning, very early in Starbase in South Texas. So Adrian, I'll throw this one to you again. Where is... Oh, no, it was Ian last time, sorry. Adrian, I'll throw this one to you for the first time. Where is mission control located at Starbase?
They have a mission control building apparently near the Astra School, so that might be the one where they are controlling today's launch from. It's the most likely because it's outside of the exclusion zone. Theoretically, there was also this thing maybe that they also have, like, they can control tests from the Stargate building in Boca, but that's in the production site, which is in the exclusion zone, so that's very, very unlikely to be there.
I do just want to point out really quick, you may have noticed the clock has changed. That is while we await an official T0. We were counting down to the originally planned T0, which was 8 a.m. Central Time, and that was assuming that fueling would begin at T minus 1 hour 39 minutes. Since we are past that, we are awaiting that new T0, and we'll update it as soon as we know.
There was a question in here about the propellant loading sequence. Just a couple of minutes ago I did go over that, so Abhijit, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I believe that if you were listening a couple of minutes ago, that should explain that. Is asking, Sawyer, I'll throw this one to you. Does Booster 7 use hydraulic or electric thrust vector control on the Raptors? So, how do the Raptor 2s steered on the booster?
Yeah, it's important to note what TVC is. That is the thrust vector control. That is basically how the vehicle steers itself. Not all of the 33 engines will gimbal, as the official term is, or move to help steer the vehicle. There is a ring that is set in place and will not move. This one is unique in that it does use, I believe it uses the electric TVC. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I believe it's electric.
Yeah, I think it is electric. The Raptor 2s are really kind of... If you compare the Raptor 1s to the Raptor 2s, they've really shrunk in size. The plumbing and all of the kind of... basically all of the controls and everything that was on top of the engine bell is just really so much more simplified, and it's by simplifying it, it means the mass production of those engines can be sped up and made more efficient, and it also means which means that more engines can be made in less time. And for a vehicle that uses 33 Raptor 2s on the booster and 3 sea level and 3 vacuum optimized on the ship, getting as many engines as possible through the production line as quickly as possible is very important for the mass production of vehicles, which is in the long term what SpaceX is aiming to achieve.
And I want to point out that Booster 7 is hydraulic. All the boosters onwards will be electric TVC. That's why we've got a lot of the boxes and things on the side of Booster 7 that we don't see on Booster 9, where we have more of the chines instead.
Thanks for that, Sawyer. So yeah, you can see there just at the bottom, you can see the chines, which are the three kind of arranged in like a triangle formation. Those are the three little aerodynamic surfaces that help to point the booster upon boost back and return, which in the case of today's flight will be a splash down landing, a soft water landing, as SpaceX like to call it, in the Gulf of Mexico. JW is asking, should we be scared by the amount of small private planes on the way to Starbase? Now, Adrian, the NOTAMs, and also for boats, the NOTMARs and the exclusion zones, they've kind of been in preparation for a while now. So, fingers crossed, pilots and mariners should know about the exclusion zone.
Yeah, I'm very much not expecting that as right now. They have been very much notices. They have been clear about that, and yeah, I can look quickly, but at least from my perspective, I cannot see anything that looks like a range violation right now.
And a reminder, we still are a little ways away from the liftoff. So, I mean, yes, the window is in place. A lot of the restrictions are now in place. So, if there are planes that end up in the restricted zone in the next couple of minutes or so, it's not the end of the world, and there is still time to get them out of the range and continue for liftoff.
And Ian informing me in the back channel, the WB-57 is now over halfway to Starbase. So how long? It took off about just over half an hour ago, about 40-ish minutes ago, maybe just under that. So yeah, it's taken about half an hour to get to this point. It looks as if it will only take about 20 minutes to get to Starbase, and then I presume it will begin doing the kind of the holding patterns that we saw on the flight plan a little while ago. So yeah, that is now.
Right, so anyway, you might have seen it pop up there. I found a diagram showing how big Starship is compared to other rockets. There it is, there's Starship with the super heavy booster. I can't bloody read this, it's too small. I can't read what that is. Is that, there's the Saturn V, there's the SLS. Oh, that's the SLS cargo. That's the SLS crew, that's the SLS cargo. And that's the N1, which a lot of people said, well, the most powerful rocket ever created to get the Soviets to the moon. And it never got off the ground, I don't think. But anyways, as you can see, Starship is bigger than all of them. And I think it can carry more as well. It can carry 100 tons, 100 metric tons, which is the same as a regular ton, near enough, into orbit. So there you go. So I dug that out for you. Right. I still can't remember what they call that. I've been looking it up. That's what I've been looking on my phone, what they call this. It's not the quick disconnect. That's further up. This is, something else. It's not the hold down clamp, because there's the hold down clamps all around the inside of this orbital launch mount here. Hang on, there we go. This is the orbital launch mount. And I can't remember what this is called because I'm an idiot and I'm stupid. But it's connected to the Starship, and there's pipes and stuff. That is the venting. When that venting stops, we know that the Starship is being fueled. You'll probably see it start icing up when it starts fueling. It'll get white on the outside as it condenses into ice because it's super cooled. Methane and oxygen. But right, so that's enough of me wittering on and not remembering what this is called. I should know, but as soon as I turn cameras on, I get brain freeze, and my mind bloody switches off. I'm useless. But anyway, let's see what they're saying.
The south point of South Padre Island. So yeah, seems like a very, very exciting event. I mean, why would you not want to see this, right? It's going to be an incredible event when this happens. It's just going to be incredible.
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah. So Sawyer, you've been on for a little bit now. We're going to give you a little bit of a break. So thanks for coming in, Sawyer, and,
It's been my
hanging out
absolute
with us.
It has been my absolute pleasure. I will still be here watching, excited, and on standby to bring you guys replays as soon as we have liftoff. So thank you everyone for having me on, and go Starship.
And in Sawyer's place, we are going to have Jack coming in Sawyer's place. I'm not sure if he's ready to come in just yet, but Jack will be joining us in a moment. Hello, Jack. There we go. We can hear you.
Hooray! What's
That's
up?
good.
I've been running around and sort of getting things set up on my end. I
I
haven't
have
really been
breaking
listening-
news. I'm sorry. We have a new T0. The new T0 now confirmed. Is that confirmed?
I'm not sure, but it is
8:20,
being sent
okay.
in the back channel. Yes,
Yeah.
8:20 a.m.
8:20. The new T0 is 8:20. So
SpaceX tweet.
Yep.
So that
All right.
is the first confirmation since the 8 a.m. tweet a few hours ago, before we even spooled up this dedicated live stream. There you go. 8:20 a.m. Central Daylight Time is the official time being targeted now by SpaceX. So that gives us a little bit of confirmation that this was indeed a bit of a hold. Looks like a 20-minute hold with the OLM vent still going. So there's a few questions here that are waiting, but first I'm just going to quickly run through some super chats whilst we're waiting this OLM vent to disengage. We've got a few super chats here. We've got a new member, and we've got 10 Australian dollars, 10 euros. Thank you, everybody. Another a few euros here. 5 Red Team memberships being gifted. We've got a super chat with no message, but thank you still. Thank you, everybody who has been contributing. And we've got some store messages coming in as well. Thank you, everybody who's been purchasing off of the store. So not only do you get to help contribute to the channel, but you also get to receive some cool swag in return, such as the new patch, which was restocked a few days ago, and the pre-order plushie, which is now available on the shop. You know how to get it, shop.nasaspaceflight.com. There's so many store messages and messages of contribution in here. The list keeps going and going. I'm going to try and get through as many of these as possible. But in the meantime, Jack, I'm going to look for a question and see if we can get your expertise at answering it. Whilst on the right there, we can see a live feed of the channel, which leads from the Gulf into the port of Brownsville. We should see some mariners, the 2 mariner safe zones around there, aren't they, Jack, if I'm correct?
Yep, sure enough. That is. We're looking right now at Isla Blanca Park at the beach and the jetties, and you can see looks like a security vehicle on the other side of the channel, on the Boca Chica side, and looks like a lot of people are hanging out and getting ready to watch the launch.
And there's a question here, a good question from Lisa, asking, sorry if this is obvious, no need to apologise, but what is the white fog coming from Starship? So Jack, what exactly is coming out of or no longer coming out of the OLM vent, as the OLM vent has stopped, which means that propellant load has begun. So Jack, what was actually coming out of the OLM vent before it just stopped just now?
Yeah, that would have been gaseous nitrogen, which they use nitrogen to chill down the propellant lines and condition them to be prepared for propellant load. You don't want to pump cryogenic propellants through hot pipes. That's just not... Go ahead.
Did you already comment that it stopped venting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, I was running away.
Yep.
No worries,
It has stopped
Adrian.
venting. So when it is venting, it means they're chilling the lines. Or when it stops venting, it means the lines have been sufficiently chilled down so that they are ready to begin flowing propellant through them.
And you can see here that the the cooled pool of gaseous nitrogen on the ground there is starting to die down. That's just kind of leftovers from the OLM vent, if I am correct. And it also seems like the propellant load will now be starting because of that, and the new T0 has been put up into the clock, into the top left, so that is now T-minus 1 hour, 35 minutes and 20 seconds until the new launch time of 8:20 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Going to take
Can't
5
believe-
hours. Add 5 hours onto that, so that is 13:20 universal time. You can do your own time zone conversions there, Jack.
I can't believe
Who's
how
that?
close we are.
Biden,
An
not
hour
what? I
and
can't read
35
it.
minutes.
Just tell you.
This
I
is-
need
this
a
is
better
absolutely wild.
monitor.
As the sun begins to rise.
God bless Biden. What's
This
Biden got to do with it,
beautiful lighting.
mate?
Just
What's
wow.
Biden
So
got to do
now
with it?
they
I
are
know he's the
flowing pellets
president, but
through
you know.
the lines. They are starting
God
to
bless
load pellets
Elon.
into the vehicle. We are.
I'm kidding.
We're into the flow.
I'm kidding.
And,
Well, no,
we're
I'm not.
hearing
God
also
bless
from
everybody
SpaceX that,
in my book.
AFTs
I'm
just
still
are
trying to find out what the hell
completely
that. I think that is
So
the
everything's
quick
looking good.
disconnect mechanism. Further up, there's the quick
Very,
disconnect to
very
arm.
Just
That's the
over 90
mechanism.
minutes now to the new
So,
revised
and like I say,
T0 time.
it connects to the booster. The other one connects to Starship.
Adrian, so now
Um,
we've seen the OLM vent stop.
And it's basically what it fuels it through, and all the electrical connections and stuff like that. Right, I'll shut up now. But thank you, Biden. What's it say? Biden not shitey. Is that what it says?
Liquid methane is now
Oh, dear.
being loaded into the booster.
But yes,
which is
well,
very
God bless
exciting. So that's
Biden.
officially
God bless
confirmed.
everybody. That's what I
And,
say.
so
Right,
Adrian,
back
what
to
can we
the
expect between now and
proper
T0?
commentary.
Yes. Get to zero. The next very, very cool thing will be frost rings appearing, which might happen any second now, which will indicate that we have cryogenics in the tanks. After that, we will at some point see the Raptors being chilled for
Excitement.
ignition, which means they're being prepared to be in contact with cryogenics. They are being chilled down. You basically precondition them. Then at the end, and that will be kind of like the final situation, is we will see the fire X system spool up, the water, I'm not even calling it water suppression, the fire X system spooling up for a bit of fire extinguishing, and then we will see the Raptor starting to ignite at about 8 seconds, and then we want to see 33 Raptor engines spooling up to 90%. If we get there, then we might see a liftoff of Starship in about 90 minutes from now.
Very, very, very exciting. I'm just going to quickly run over some big contributions that have come in the last few minutes here. Starting off with a $75 contribution here. Where's it gone? We've got so much kindness coming in that I've actually lost.
You want me to
where
get it?
is.
I can click it. The one from Crafty
I got it. There we go.
Not listening to
75
them
Crafty Geek.
talking about bloody contributions, because I'm not monetized, because I ain't got enough followers. So I'm not listening to them. How many are watching their stream, by the way? I bet it's loads. Let's have a look. Scroll down a bit. 124,000, nearly 125,000 watching now. And I've got one viewer. Hello, one viewer. I appreciate you. Yeah, they've got lots of viewers and they get lots of contributions, but I'm not monetized, and I'm bitter and jealous. This is all exciting. Look, the tank farm spooling up. Look, there's all vapor and all sorts spewing out. That's perfectly normal because it's all super cooled liquids. So there's going to be a lot of condensation of water vapor and stuff floating about. It's fine. But we'll start seeing ice appear on the booster and probably on the Starship as well. Maybe not the side with the tiles. The dark side. Oh, you can't see it now. The dark side is the side that's got tiles on, the heat-resistant tiles that protect it during re-entry. There we go. It's the fog. Don't go into the fog. But yeah, it's all exciting stuff. By the way, you don't have to watch, NASA spaceflight. There's others covering it. There's the launch pad. I think I put a link for that in the description as well. I suspect the angry astronaut, get angry about space. I'm sure he'll be covering it. I bet he's got a live stream somewhere. Or he will have. But I like NASA spaceflight. So let's go back to them and listen to them, what they're saying.
Yorkshire, let's light this candle. Thank you very much for that as well. That's another huge contribution. Thank you so much for that. That is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. I can't really say anything else, and I know I sound a bit like a broken record, but it really helps so much to keep things operating here. And
We have frost. We have frost on Starship.
There we go. You can see it building up now.
Yep.
From the bottom. Look at that. It's getting
Frost.
frosty, everybody.
Okay, we are about 90 minutes away from liftoff, from here on out. So what we will now
90
see
minutes
is the,
now. Exactly.
Yep, we will now see the rings rising, the tanks getting filled, and then, yeah, I mean, then it's go time. Suddenly it's there.
Wow. Suddenly we're here. Wow. There's frost forming on the boot. There's propellants in both tanks. We're in 90 minutes. Less than 90 minutes away. Hopefully.
Can you believe
from the first
it?
flight. This is surreal. This is absolutely wild. I cannot believe we've finally gotten to this day. Oh my gosh. Let's hope everything goes smoothly and we can progress through the count without any issues. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It's not the most eloquent commentary, but holy cow, this is actually happening. This feels real.
I feel like that's something that will happen over the next 90 minutes. You will slowly, we will also get excited more and more. So you will see us and hear us slowly making less and less coherent statements, it seems like.
And now we're going to go to Jack so he can just scream maniacally into the microphone. Ah!
To be honest, at liftoff, I think that is the most appropriate commentary that we can have. Just absolute mayhem. It's just going to be absolutely incredible. I think every single person here is going to be absolutely yelling their hearts out to see this thing finally depart the pad for a orbital-ish trajectory. And Ian is confirming in the back channel that the WB-57 is nearly overhead Boca Chica. It looks as if...
I think I can see it. Is that the WB-57? There we go. We can see it.
I don't want to try and put anyone on the spot here, but if we could get a camera angle of that, would be great. But of course not. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but we are confirming that the WB-57 is nearly arrived.
I see the contrail. I see it.
There you go. And we have 2 visual confirmations that it is here. So yet another point towards
By the way, while we're here,
countdowns.
that's the Starship quick disconnect arm. There are the
This could actually
chopsticks
happen.
they used to lift,
Like,
the booster and the
this could
Starship
actually
onto the
happen.
orbital launch mount.
It feels
And
weird
fingers
to say
crossed, in
that,
future
but
launches,
could
it will
actually
catch
happen.
the ship and booster as
Yeah.
they come
We've got a
down.
few more questions
Fingers
in
crossed.
here. If you have a
As I
question,
said,
put
this
it
is
in
all
chat, tag us at
massive,
NASA Space Flight
as it doesn't look like much
and,
from a distance.
so I'm
From
gonna
a
try and get
distance.
to as many questions as possible before
But it
we
is
hit the
absolutely
final
huge.
stages
Right,
of count, where
back to
all
them.
of our attention will be focused on the first the end of fueling, then the ignition, and then fingers crossed the liftoff of Booster 7 and Ship 24. That coming up in just under 90 minutes time, as the current schedule suggests. So this question here from Casey Fulton is asking, what is the loud aircraft engine-like noises we can hear over the stream? So Adrian, what are the noises we can currently hear from the launch site?
This is literally the tank farm that you can hear how it is basically spooling up. You have liquids flying through all kinds of vents, all kinds of little sounds, how like pipes are being used. It's literally the tank farm doing a flow to push all of these needed propellants into the vehicle. That's what you're hearing right now. It's producing all kinds of sounds that are all leading up to propellants reaching the vehicle.
And we've got another contribution here from Obsidian saying, Godspeed B7S24, thanks for the excellent coverage and elegant commentary. Thanks very much for that, Obsidian, alongside a $100 tip over on tips.nasaspaceflight.com. Thank you again so much for that. These big contributions that we're getting, it's incredible to see, and we are so grateful for it. Honestly, it is just incredible to see. And I know I say that every time, but it's the truth. It's just we're so grateful for all of the support that we're getting from everybody who's contributing financially, everybody who's just watching the stream, everybody who's commenting and everything along those lines. It's just, we're so thankful, and it's great to see so many other people sharing this fantastic hobby in an interest for aerospace in this way. I mean, we're literally, Jack, we're about to see the world's most powerful rocket lift off from a launch site that didn't exist 4 years ago. Like, that's just bonkers to think about.
Largest, most powerful ever created, and I like to repeatedly point out, forgive me, it's the most powerful that will be created in the foreseeable future. Literally nobody is attempting to create a rocket this big, not even close. And you know, that's a big deal. This will be, for the majority of our lifetimes, most likely, the largest rocket that exists by far, and it will hopefully enable some amazing things to happen. And like you said, Ryan, this launch site didn't exist a couple years ago. I mean, it's absolutely wild. That I know we all say like it's finally happening. We've been waiting for this to happen for so long, etc. But in the grand scheme of things, especially in the aerospace grand scheme of things, this has been an extremely.
I'm
Jack,
sorry,
sorry
I
to
have-
interrupt
yeah.
you. There's the methane fuel frostering, which is now starting to appear. So we have confirmation that methane is starting to be loaded into the booster, because we can literally see the cryogenic propellants inside forming ice around the outside of the booster. So yeah, that is confirmation. We have now LOX and methane both being loaded into the vehicle, and you can also see reflecting off the right of the booster there every couple of seconds the beacons that are flashing as the sunlight increases and it gets brighter down in South Texas. That will eventually become they'll be turned off so you can't see them. So yeah, just in case anyone was wondering why the booster was flashing, it's because of the beacons in the launch tower. I know a few days ago we got some questions about light
Tower
reflections
vent.
and such.
Tower vent. We got the tower vent. That is the equivalent of the mount vent that we were talking about earlier. That means they are chilling down the lines for the ship and getting ready to load propellant into the ship itself. Is that correct, Adrian?
Let me. Basically, this will go on and off. If it's on, they're not loading right now. If it's, it will go on and off again. It's a very good sign. It very much lines up with the propellant loading. This yeah, T-122. This is start of ship loading right now.
Excellent.
They are loading the upper stage.
Excellent.
So yeah, we are loading both
Oh.
stages now.
We are going
It's starting to get real. It's
load the rocket with
exciting.
propellants.
Just look at this. Just look at this. It's incredible. I don't really know.
So I've just heard them say it. They've started fueling the Starship itself, which is the silver bit on top, silver and black part. This is the Starship. That's its quick disconnect. That's where all the fuel pipes are connected to Starship. It's like a panel. It's got a cover on it that they take off, and it's got a panel on there that it connects with. So it's loading into there. As I said before, these are the chopsticks. They won't really be used on this launch. They're used for lifting it on and off the launch mount, and also grabbing it, fingers crossed, when it comes in for a landing. But not this time. I don't know about maybe not next time either. I don't know how many launches they'll do before the chopsticks come into action. But we will see. I suppose it depends how successful this test launch is. But there we go. So it's getting closer and closer. There you go. The provisional launch time, 1 hour, 21 minutes away. That's going to be a long time. It's going to seem like forever, isn't it, this? By the way, I keep disappearing because the cat was scratching like bloody hell out of the sofa. So I'm going to let her out. Because it's quite a nice day today, and I'm stuck inside doing this. Me and Aidan, my son, were supposed to go for a walk today. He's decided he doesn't want to. Oh, is that the NASA spotter plane that they were talking about earlier? Yeah, we were supposed to go for a walk today, and he's decided he doesn't want to. He's busy. So there we go. So I thought, well, I'll do this instead then. So anyway, back to them.
NASA's aircraft are ready. I think the only people we're waiting on now is SpaceX to get this super massive vehicle filled up to the brim with some lovely liquid oxygen and some lovely liquid methane. You can see the oxygen tank on the booster now is starting. I'd say that's probably about 1/5 of the way full up now. So yeah, we are getting proper frosty now, all the way starting to fill up with the ship fueling meant to have begun at 1 hour and 22 minutes. T-1 hour and 22 minutes. Alex saying in the back channel that the vent looks healthy. So yeah, fingers crossed, we're still on for a launch in just 1 hour and 20 minutes time. which sounds astounding to say, considering how long we've been waiting for this. It is so.
By the way, the official SpaceX stream, which will come on here behind me, live in 15 minutes, the official SpaceX stream. So we'll see what they say there. But I'll keep this one. Where are we? This one. Oh, you can't see it. Hang on. There we go. We'll keep this one on for the time being because, NASA Spaceflight, they've got good coverage and they've got good cameras dotted about. It's weird, isn't it, how SpaceX and Elon gives them permission to put these cameras all over. I know they're on like public land and stuff and they're allowed to, but then they don't give them any information about, what's really happening and future plans and stuff. They've basically got to go and ask them aggressively. But anyway, so let's see what they're saying again.
So it's not like we're riding the bleeding edge here or anything, but it's serious business. We're launching the world's largest and most powerful rocket. We're dealing with huge amounts of liquid oxygen, huge amounts of liquid methane. And it's not to be trifled with. It's not to be taken lightly. As much fun as we are all having, and will continue to have, rest assured, this is quite an operation here. And just one thing I do want to point out really quick, just take a moment and wrap your head around the scale of things you're seeing. Starhopper is 60 feet high. The vehicle is massive. And yet, look how massive that vent is. That is a huge vent.
It's crazy. I'm all the way over at SPI, and I can see the vehicle. I can see the vent so clearly. It's such a big vehicle, and we are how much away?
Hour 18.
Hour 18.
We can hear an increase in venting noise now. There you go. And yeah, the LOX is filling up at the speed we would expect on the booster there. Nearly, in this shot at least, nearly the LOX is fully encasing the booster there. Adrian, I'm going to throw this one to you quickly. Now we were talking about the frost and the ice. What is the estimated weight of the ice formed on Starship during fueling, and how does this affect the launch?
I don't know the exact kilograms or tons of ice that are on Starship, I have to admit that. However, most of it will fall down as soon as the engines ignite. So it will basically have A, not that much of an effect, and B, it's very much calculated. So yeah, I don't the exact kilograms or tons amount. I'm sorry.
And we also have a question here from Astro Turtle. This is from a little while ago, whilst the pipe kind of conditioning was still going on, Jack. But why does SpaceX actually have to cool down the plumbing in stage 0 before they can start loading the fuel?
Yeah, so the deal with that is the fuel, both the fuel and the oxidizer, the methane and the oxygen, are extremely cold liquids, I guess, is the right word. They're cryogenic liquids. And if you think about it, when you are going to flow that cryogenic liquid through a pipe, you don't want that pipe to be warm or hot, because if it is, you're going to essentially start to boil some of that propellant, and that can cause issues with, I'm sure there's a variety of issues.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jack, but Mission Control is confirming that the liquid oxygen load has started on the ship. So that means that the liquid oxygen tank should start to be getting frosty on the ship as well in the next few minutes here. So we should also be keeping an eye on pretty much the full stack now. So the full stack should be starting to get frosty with methane on the booster, liquid oxygen on the booster, and ship.
Excellent.
Sorry, Jack, if you want to continue.
No, don't be sorry. Anytime there is a development with this vehicle and there's a flow going on or some sort of change in what's happening, please interrupt me. No one cares what I'm saying. We all want to know what's going on with the vehicle. No worries at all. But yeah, basically you don't want to flow really, really cold liquid through a warm pipe that causes issues with the liquid. It heats it up. You are taking a lot of time and energy to condition that liquid into a state that the vehicle and the engines are going to expect. It's going to be the right temperature and all of that. So if you flow it through warm pipes, that's going to change the situation and change the nature of the fluids that you're flowing into the vehicle. Could heat it up maybe even beyond the limit that you want it to be at. So you're going to chill those pipes down, and once they're chilled down, then when you flow the cryogenic propellants through them, you're not going to get that change in temperature. You're not going to get any sort of issues with boil off or what have you. Hopefully that's a succinct enough answer there.
Thanks very much, Jack. And a question here from Veer, which I believe is a little bit busy right now on top of the Margaritaville getting all set up and stuff. So I'll throw this one to you again, Jack.
Sure.
Is the next Starship going to be 10 meters longer?
Well, define next Starship. Basically, there's been multiple times where Elon has sort of oh, there we go, on the ship. You can see some frost.
There we go. Condensation on the ship.
Excellent.
They are progressing.
So yeah, there has been multiple times where Elon has said like, oh, we'll change the flaps on the ship, or things of that nature. He has recently said they're going to stretch the ship by 10 meters. Certainly, that's something that could happen. But if you look at what vehicles have been built so far, Ship 24 is the same as Ship 25. Ship 26 and 27 are virtually the same, at least tankage-wise. The tank section and the nose cone, 26 and 27 don't have flaps, and they don't have thermal tiles. However, 28 is a return to thermal tiles and flaps, and I believe 29 is as well, although I could be mistaken there on 29. All that is to say, they have a assembly line going on here in Boca Chica, and part of what they're doing here, Elon has said, is they're building the machine that builds the machines, and periodically that assembly line does make a shift over to a new variant of a vehicle, and we've seen that many times over. So as of right now, we have not seen any indications that there is a Starship coming down the pipe on the assembly line that is 10 meters longer. At some point we will see that, but as of right now, we are dealing with sort of either, if you want to think about it, starships that are re-entry capable and starships that are not. And they're basically all based off of the same tankage section, and they are all the same height. So at some point, I wouldn't be surprised to see Starship get stretched like 10 meters longer. Of course, another thing Elon has hinted at is adding 3 additional Raptor vacuum engines for a total of 9 engines on the ship. But as of right now, none of the hardware that we've seen at the production site, the assembly line that's building these things, none of the hardware we've seen has either changed flaps, additional engines, stretched tanks. Those are all things that certainly, seems like they will happen at some point. It's something SpaceX is certainly thinking about, but so far, not yet.
Yeah, the development timeline for SpaceX, it changes very quickly, for Starship at least.
It's kind of
And,
wild if you think about it. The vehicle
Yeah.
we're looking at right now is obsolete,
Yes, that is a very fair point.
which is a wild thing to say and think about. But truly, Booster 7 in particular is obsolete. It has an outmoded thrust vector control actuation system. That's the system that moves the engines around. The Booster 7 uses a hydraulic system. Booster 9 and beyond uses an electric system, and that's just one aspect. And there's many things that we don't see or don't know about that I'm sure are changing between boosters. There are a few things that we do see and we do know about, and that is one of them: the electric versus hydraulic. But all that is to say, this vehicle is about a year old, and you got to figure SpaceX is planning ahead and doing the design work and doing the engineering for all sorts of things, whether it's the human landing system variant that will go to the moon, whether it's a Martian variant that's going to need, I almost said shoes, that's going to need
Beat
legs.
together
I guess
supplies.
the legs might have shoes on them. So yeah, this is an outdated vehicle, even though it's still a big deal that it's going to fly, and it's still going to give them a significant amount of good data, at least we hope so. It's an outdated vehicle. And so, yes, there are things that are coming down the pipe, and that will happen in due course.
I'm just going to quickly throw it over to the merch store, shop.nasaspaceflight.com, because our patches, if you didn't already know, we've got some patches out for this flight. So if you want to get an actual patch, which you can, sew onto your jacket or sew into your bag or put some Velcro on, stick its places, that is available at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. It's a wonderful design by Pauline. So if you want to get that in patch form, you can. There's also stickers, there's mugs, there's t-shirts, there's hoodies, jumpers, and there's even a banner if you want to put it up on your wall or something like that.
Apparently those patches sold out really quickly the other day. But they're supposed to be, you can join the waiting list apparently, because I was tempted to buy one, but I won't bother. Right, back to them.
Sawyer chiming in from now and again as well. So thanks everybody, and good luck with the final hour to go. It's getting really exciting now.
Really getting real. I mean, holy cow, this is really happening.
Yeah, right, Jack. I mean, looking at this vehicle, it suddenly is there. We are there, and I hope this goes well. I mean, just to set expectations here again, they still have to ignite 33 Raptor engine, and they have to work before we see a liftoff.
What we're seeing there, that's Starhopper. Hang on. There.
On the way here.
That's Starhopper, where they first tested the engines for landing and stuff. But these are the testing for the Raptor engines or the Merlin. I can't actually remember. Maybe the Merlin engines that are used on the Falcon rockets. Well, that's there anyway, and apparently that's 60 feet tall. So there you go. Let's give you some idea of the scale we're talking about. That's 60 feet, so that's like taller than your house that you live in, more than likely. If you live in a 2-story house, a lot taller. So there we go. Back to them. Oh.
A member and supporting the channel in that way. Look at that ship glistening in the sunlight. Nice and frosty. That is exactly what we want to see.
What a beautiful shot. It's like the perfect, even the light is like, it's perfect for this. Everything is perfect.
If we get a launch today, we're all very, very, very lucky because we all remember serial number 11 when it was fog. Even serial number 15, the one that landed, the final ship that was, that conducted a high-altitude flight test, pretty gray and foggy. I mean, honestly, it was barely visible, which, compared to SN8, SN9, and SN10, it was a dreary day. So if we get a nice, beautiful, clear, crisp day like this for launch, I mean, you really can't ask for much more. Speaking of not asking for much more, Russell Snodgrass, buddy, thank you, with a $500 super chat. Russell, that's another one of those names we've seen pop up many times with the high dollar support. Thank you so much, Russell. I mean, it's so much money. That is so much money. It's absolutely just wild that somebody would want to contribute that much to what we do. And I want you to know that we appreciate that support so much. We're going to take that money and do what we always do, which is plow.
Is it money laundering? Sometimes you see these huge amounts that people give to these channels. I know it's their money. They can do what they want with it. But sometimes it's like, crikey. They must really enjoy what they're watching. As I said before, I'm just bitter.
So excited for this. Been watching and enjoying your streams since Starhopper. Thanks to Chris B, Jack, Doss, Adrian, Alex, Michael B, Mary, and the whole crew. Your coverage entertains and informs. Enjoy the day. Thank you, Russell. We will absolutely enjoy the day. We will 100% do what we can to do right by your contribution and honor it, because holy cow, thank you. That is a truly outstanding amount of support.
Thank you from
Whew.
all of us, absolutely.
Wow. Oh, hey, Sawyer.
Hi, I'm here. And we are keeping an eye on the ship. We should hopefully be seeing frost any moment on the liquid oxygen tank on board ship 24.
Sweet.
It's insane. I struggle to try to cope with what's happening here right now.
Yeah,
It's-
Adrian, you're here. You have flown here from Germany. You took a risk getting a plane flight here before we knew that this was even going to be the day. I mean, you are truly have taken a gamble, and hopefully, my friend, today is the day that your gamble pays off. Absolutely, way to go.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to this. It's insane. I hope we see this in an hour. That's yeah.
Yeah, me too. Rocket Fella, thank you for becoming a launch director member. That's one of the higher levels of member support there.
I do just want to
let's-
remind everyone and point it out the fact that the window does extend until 9:30 a.m. Central Time, so there is the potential that it may be a little over an hour, but we're hoping 60 minutes from now or so.
Right, so before Russell Snodgrass blew my mind with that absolutely outstanding amount of support, I did want to underscore that while things are progressing rapidly and exactly how we want them to, it is important to note that there are things that could come up in the flow. They could have an issue with loading propellant. They could have an issue in the terminal count. They could get all the way or very close to T0 and have an issue with the Raptors or with any number of things. So we're all very excited and we all want to see this rocket go today, but it's important to keep in mind that today could not be the day. We all hope it is, but it could be not the day. And so just have that have that in your mind. If something does happen to cause a hold, don't fret. They'll
Yeah.
hopefully be able to
There
recycle.
is a frost line. There is a frost line on the ship.
Yes, that's what we want to see. Excellent.
What is going on here?
A lot of things, Das. Also, hey, what's up?
I figured I'd stop in and see if there's launching any rockets today.
I mean, maybe a little bit. We'll see.
There's a frost line on the Starship, and they're cleared for launch.
Yep. They have the launch license. There's nothing left to do except for kick the tires, light the fires, and send this thing into space. That's what I said in the update video this morning.
Nice.
Yesterday morning.
So
I
nice.
guess it's the
You said it
morning
twice.
again. Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, don't
Funny
let me
it's-
interrupt. I wanted to jump in all of a sudden because it's getting serious over here. The sun is coming up. It is a beautiful day. There is not a cloud in the sky in any
I'll just-
direction right now.
Pop in, say hello, 5 viewers. Got 5 viewers, yay! Also waiting for SpaceX now on this the official feed behind us. So waiting for SpaceX. 428,000 waiting there,
Hey, we've been having a lot of
including
fun.
me. I'm
We're
one of
ready to see
those,
what's gonna happen.
but they're
I
not
think the
starting their
SpaceX
live
right
feed
here.
yet. So we've got to stick with NASA space flight, which we are doing anyway. As I said before, that's the space hop, star hopper, sorry. Where they used to test the gimbaling and stuff for the engines and stuff for landing. That's the tank farm. I don't know what that is in the distance. Probably more tanks. I said that's the launch tower and their Starship. And look at that hefty frost line. That's there we go, Star Hopper again from a different angle. With all cameras and things and whatever's sensors, no doubt, connected to it. But yeah, the frost line is growing nicely. It'll go all the way up. And like I said, just over an hour. Fingers crossed until this, historic launch. I hope so. Anyway, right, we'll go back to them.
Freaking content. I hope you have been seeing the work that has gone into this stream. Go ahead.
I have
That vent?
sorry, I have to interrupt. That's the ship engine chill vent.
Excellent.
We have the first signs of engine chills. So they are now preparing some of the Raptors. It's not the full engine chill, but it's like they are getting ready. They're preparing the engines. We are 1 hour and 36 seconds. We are 1 hour away from Starship launching, maybe.
Maybe. Hopefully, we think so. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. Stand on one leg and touch your nose while you rub your stomach. I don't know. You get it. Hopefully. But Beth, thank you, Beth, so much. Here's a deal. There's a balance that has to be struck here because we're commentating. We're trying to tell you guys what's going on. We're trying to make sure everybody knows what's happening. We're trying to keep the hype train rolling here. At the same time, Beth, that is a huge amount of support. So thank you. I want to underscore the fact that we appreciate that. Also, Russell, thank you. Thank you to everybody, whether it's $1, $5, whether you're buying a patch from the store, whatever it is, thank you so much. But at the same time as I want to show sincere appreciation for this amount of support, I know you don't want me to hear me just talk about that this entire time. So let's move on and start talking again about what we expect to see next. Adrian, what is next up in the flow here?
Oh, let me get that timeline. Well, that is the timeline here. I love this timeline, by the way. The next thing that will happen is that the engines, the 33 Raptor engines below the Super Heavy booster, will start to chill down in preparation for the ignition sequence. That's basically one of the final steps where they make sure the engines are very well conditioned, prepared for their cryogenic fluids, going through them, and once that is happening, they can get ready for ignition.
We're under an hour. We are under an hour away. Oh, and we have a tweet from Elon.
Oh.
We might not be set up to show it yet. I'm sorry, production team. Elon is just confirming that propellant load for Starship is underway. Liftoff in T-minus 1 hour. So that is the status. We are under an hour.
That was at 7:18 a.m. Central Time. So just for reference there, 8:18 a.m. Central Time appears to be the T0.
Excellent. All right, let's see. Let's do some more questions. How about? Here's one. Julian is asking, does engine chill on Ship 24 start while it's on the pad or when it is in flight already? I mean, we just talked about it. It has started while it's on the pad. Adrian, that's how that works, right?
Yeah, you don't have the time to do it in the short amount of time while you go to space. They usually condition these engines while they are still on the ground. That makes they basically have two pipes at the side of the ship where they vent out the at the booster you can vent it out at the bottom and you can vent it out to ground pipes, what they are doing. On the ship you need to vent it out at the side because otherwise you would have a buildup of gas in the interstage. So that's why they make sure that they get that out. That's what we just saw.
Cool deal.
Jack, do you hear the excitement in Adrian's voice?
I do, and I've heard Adrian excited many times, but I've never heard him quite this excited, and it's rightfully so.
I'm standing here behind him, and he's been on commentary for so long, and he had to stand up to get some of his energy out so he could see the rocket. He was just looking at the laptop, right? And then he had to stand up, and he's dancing around actually right now. Adrian, you good? I think he's good.
I'm good in the most positive way.
In the most positive way.
It's nerve-wracking. It's insane to watch, and I'm really looking forward to this. And yes, at some point you don't want to sit anymore because when I sit on this desk here, I cannot see.
Just a quick update. The official SpaceX feed now says live in 11 minutes, so they've updated that. So we've got to wait for the official feed to come in. I'm sure they'll have some attractive host or hostess, and they'll do lots of diagrams and CG of what's going to happen. I'm sure they'll have all that. And interviews with people. But anyway, let's back to NASA space flight, see what they've got to say.
With a store message,
Ooh.
Ryan, who sets midnight alarms just to watch rockets fly. Enjoy the launch. Oh, that's sweet. Okay. I kind of need to go set up a camera and get that working as we are getting very close to launch here. So I think I'm going to leave you guys in the capable hands of
Would you like me to take over?
Yeah, Sawyer, it's all you, buddy. There's so many super chats. There's so many messages. I don't even. Good luck. Good luck keeping up with it all. To everybody watching right now from around the world, thank you so much for tuning in to NSF's coverage of the very first Starship test flight. Just thank you so much for putting your faith in us to deliver you the news. We're doing the very best we can, and I hope and I suspect that shows. So I'm going to jump off, get my camera rig set up, and perhaps I'll jump back on as I get that set up and can step away from it. But I need to get prepared for launch because we're just about 55 minutes away. And Chris Bergen said it best in chat, my brain can't deal with this. Yeah, I am suspending disbelief, and I'm going to just accept that this is real and get my camera set up. So, holy cow, I'll see y'all in a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jack. And again, thank you everyone
Right.
who's already been.
You can see the frost
giving us your
lines, the
support
frost
so
line
far.
there. I
We
think the
now
frost
are
line there.
covering, it
Different
appears,
fuel tanks,
like a
different
T0
parts.
of,
Frost line there, and the frost line there. I
8
think, is that the
a.m.
methane, is that the
Central Time
oxygen?
for the latest
And
tweet
same in
from,
the others.
Elon
I
Musk.
can't remember
So,
which way around they are.
Adrian, where are we
Something
at,
like
by
that.
the way, in
But
the
just thought
fueling
I'd point that
process?
out.
What
So
propellants are
the
being loaded up
fueling
right
is going along,
Basically
you know,
everything.
swimmingly.
They are loading.
As I said,
both for
the
tanks,
official
propellants, and you can see
SpaceX
right now,
feed hasn't started
you
yet.
can
9
see
minutes it
prospects
says.
on
We will
everything.
see what happens.
So yeah,
There,
everything
back to them.
looks good so far. Looks progressing. They're a bit for more ahead in the booster, of course, because that started earlier. But the ship's tanks are smaller, so they will catch up. And right now, the tank farm is exactly what it's supposed to do, which is providing as much cryogenic fluids as they can.
Exactly, and it is interesting to point out there. So what you're seeing there with that looks like smoke coming off of it, that is just the super chilled outside of the vehicle as those super cooled propellants are loaded inside the ship and inside the booster. And it's also interesting that you can see the distinct lines of the individual tanks. So you can tell which one is liquid methane and which one is oxygen. What is the breakdown of that, by the way? Which tank is which?
The
Go ahead, Adrian.
the smaller tanks are the methane tanks. The bigger ones are the liquid oxygen tanks. That's the general rule. And yeah, I'm always lost when I'm. Oh, there's ice breaking from the top tank a bit. There was a bit of ice just falling down.
Don't do buffering. Behave yourself. Oh, there we go.
While they are.
Are they getting too busy? Is the feed getting to 200 odd thousand now? Is it going to crash the feed? There's always something, isn't there? Anyway, as they said, they saw some ice fall.
Rainy
Which is
here.
fine. Oh, right, we're back again.
$100 tip.
We're
Thank you
back
very
again.
much for that. So excited for this launch. Really happy how far NSFs have come. We very much appreciate that and the support and the love from everyone out there who's watching and helping here. We've got Stephen J with the $300 super chat. No message there, just the kind support. Stephen J, thank you very much. It's from people like you that we can actually continue to do what we do and provide this to everyone, as well as from Fatimore with a $100 saying, awesome quality, guys and gals. Keep up the excellence. We appreciate it. And Fizz with $120. Thank you for such great coverage. Go Starship. We are completely on board with you with that. And Andy Good with the €100. Thanks, Chris and all the team, for years of incredible coverage. Let's go. I am definitely on board with that. Let's go indeed. As we're getting closer now into the countdown here, we are continuing to see fueling going on at this moment. There is a great view where you can see the distinct lines of the liquid oxygen and liquid methane being loaded into both the booster and ship 24 at the very top there. And that is expected to continue for a little while now, as we approach that T0 though. Let's see if we have any quick questions from you guys that we can go through while we keep an eye on the fuel load here. Adrian, I'll pose this one to you. While we're looking at the vehicle in the bottom left there's that large black clamp at the base of the rocket. What exactly is that, and will it move prior to launch?
Yeah, that is the booster quick disconnect. So basically there are two parts of this vehicle, how they fuel it. You can see the arm on the ship. The arm on the ship is providing the liquids to the upper stage, and at the bottom there is the booster quick disconnect, which is providing all of the liquids that are needed to the first stage. At close to liftoff, they will both retract. The ship QD will move to the side, while the booster QD will retract to itself, like in this protective shell, to protect all the lines in there and the electronics from the energy of the Raptors passing by, so you don't have to build that up every single launch. So yeah, that's basically part of the infrastructure to fuel these rockets.
Exactly, and it's very similar to the quick disconnect arm, which is up near the top. That's at ship 24. Again, that is also expected to pull away at T0, and is currently doing its best to provide all the services that the booster or that the ship needs, just like the hold down there. Let's see. We are continuing to keep an eye on the engine chill here. Thank you everyone for all the support, and I do want to point out that we do have someone else that is joining us here to help out with some of these questions and all the support and launch coverage, and that is Ian Atkinson. Ian, how are you?
Hey guys, anything interesting happening today?
I don't know if there's anything happening.
I don't know. All right, I'll see you guys later then. This sounds pretty boring.
Very funny.
I kid.
It is good to have you here.
Just looking at this, I don't know what that is
again,
there.
so
Can you
many
see? Hang on,
questions
you can't
and
see.
support here for
There we go.
everyone.
There's
We
me.
really
What's
appreciate
that there? I don't know.
Uh,
I've not noticed that before.
things like,
Is
we
that
got some
something to?
more
Is that
questions
part of the
we'll take
flight
care of
termination
here,
system? I
and Ian,
don't know. I
I'm
haven't
gonna
noticed
send
it before.
one,
It's some
over
sort of
to you.
hatch. Or what?
And
What
that
is it?
going to be
Like a little
rocket
circular
sitting
thing
on top
there.
of the
I've never
orbital launch
noticed that
mount, or is
before.
it encapsulated inside? And is there a risk of the
I wonder
booster
what that
colliding
is.
with the
Anyway, I
enemy
just
or
thought I'd throw
walls
that
as
out
a
there.
deck?
Yeah, so it is kind of inside the orbital launch mount, only partially. So the engine section, or the aft skirt of Superheavy, is within the orbital launch mount. Now, any risk of collision at liftoff really would only be if it went laterally, if it somehow went left to right, forward to backwards. There will be a good bit of clearance between the inner edge of the orbital mount and the sides of the booster itself. And that will only be any risk of collision for like a half second at most. There's pretty much no risk of collision. So it is resting on 20 quick disconnect umbilicals, 20 hold down points that will rapidly disconnect and retract into the mount right at liftoff. So there is
Ian, I'm going to take over from there for you a quick sec. It sounded a bit robotic. Apologies for that. But we'll give you a second to get that taken a look at. In the meantime, there you can see ship 24. As we progress, again, 8:18 a.m. Central Time is what we're looking at. We should be seeing, it looks like a vent there on the ship. We can see that to the right, just underneath the chopstick arms. And a reminder, those chopstick arms are currently open, which is in the position it is expected to be for launch. We are progressing now with that timeline. We'll be able to run you through here what else we can continue to expect in this timeline as we progress. So as we mentioned, the fueling is underway on both the ship and the booster. That includes liquid oxygen and liquid methane. As we continue along with the countdown, we will expect to see Raptor engine chill begin on the booster a little under 17.
By the way, if you see like heavy venting from either ship or the booster, you know, that big huge plume coming out from the side, you know, at high velocity, that probably means the detanking, which could mean there's a scrub or a postponement, you know, the getting rid of the fuel and there's some problem. But fingers crossed that won't happen. We will see.
I want to point out that vent that we saw is completely normal. Those vents used to help even out the pressure in all of the fuel tanks in both the ship and the booster. So there is nothing to worry about when you see those. Just wanted to point that out.
Hey, Sawyer.
Hi, Das. How's it going?
Oh, I am in and out. I am all over the place. We are firing on more cylinders than we actually have right now. But just checking in from the roof of the Margaritaville Resort, South Padre Island over here, it continues to be a beautiful day. There are people down on the beach. Again, still not a cloud in the sky. The sun is coming up. I actually forgot my sunglasses in the truck, so we're just going to have to deal with that. But I don't think that we could have asked for a nicer day to watch this.
Exactly. Thank you for chiming in with that. Yeah, the weather looks absolutely gorgeous. Perfectly clear skies, and like we mentioned before, it's unlike SN11 or SN15, who those remember where it was quite foggy, especially SN11. We've got gorgeously clear skies, and we can see everything beautifully happening to the booster and the ship right now. And a
Yep.
reminder,
What?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you are on top of the hotel right now, which we have a camera up there, which you can see in our multi-view, which you can access for all of our members who are red team and above.
Sawyer says we have a camera up here. Sawyer.
Do we?
We bought out the camera store. We have so many cameras up here. It took us like 15 trips up to carry all the cameras we have. We've got a fiber line up here. We've got wireless infrastructure up here. We're controlling all of the different sites from our command post here on the, well, I say on the roof of the hotel. It really relays through the hotel. And all the remote folks, the production team, are really knocking it out of the park today. But I got to say really quickly, massive thanks to the folks here at the hotel. It's the Margaritaville Resort, South Padre Island, and they set us up with not just a place to watch the lunch from. We've got a room downstairs. They just renovated the whole place. We've actually got a fiber line, and we worked with the hotel to run a fiber line from the server room downstairs all the way to the roof. But they have been absolutely fantastic to us over here. So I hope that this isn't the first, this isn't the last time we see a Starship launch from here. And if anybody ever ends up coming down this way, check out the Margaritaville Resort. It's ridiculously nice. They're good people. And a lot of what you are seeing on the screen right now is because they worked with us and they helped us make all this happen. Sorry, I had to jump in. This is just a wonderful place. This is a wonderful day.
No, thank you for jumping in, and again, thank you to the people over at the Margaritaville Resort there for allowing us to get all of that set up and bring you guys this extra coverage. Really, really appreciate it. And again, you can see link in chat right now as well to that.
Nice.
And again, reminder, you have that multi-view for red team and above. It cycles through 9 boxes worth of cameras all the time, so you keep getting more and more views, some that you might not even get to see on stream. So.
Yeah. You got a big vent on the ship there, Sawyer. Did I see that right?
Yeah, it looks like we just had a big vent there, and so far, everything looking good. A reminder, those vents are normal. That is the pressures evening out as we continue in the count at about T-minus 43 minutes and counting. Unbelievable there.
At this point, this feels kind of... So we are now in the range.
As I said, if you see a big continuous vent, not like a quick one that just lasts a few seconds, if you see a big continuous one, you know something's up, and that's a D tank. But obviously the short ones are fine. I meant, when I said before, I meant a continuous vent that goes on for a while. That could be a sign that they are scrubbing the mission, but fingers crossed that's not going to happen. Right, back to the chaps. By the way, this is still... SpaceX has come on now, but nobody's talking, I don't think. Is there any music? I haven't got the volume on, so I can't tell you. Anyway, back to the chaps.
Starship. I'm sure Jack appreciates that. Cameron with the 160 Australian dollars. Frank Green, drink bottles are hard to drink from. Thank you very much for the message and for all of the support there as well. So many of you being so kind and so generous. It's really appreciated. New Black with a €200 tip, which is another way you can support us, tips.nasaspaceflight.com. Amazing stream, guys. 20 TVs in our office tuned in. Special shout out to Adrian as your SME. We love the detailed info. New Black, thank you. And Adrian, we love having your commentary as well, especially as we get closer to your first ever launch. And it just so happens to be the most powerful rocket in the world. Stock Garden with more support, another $100 super chat. Let's go. Artificial Reef incoming, which, yes, that's actually a very good point that we should probably address there. So, Adrian, what is going to happen with this booster after it flies and does its kind of boost back burn? What are we expecting to have off the coast right near you?
Yeah, what we will see is a partial boost back burn, where it will come a bit more towards us as it was if it just wouldn't perform that. But it will not go all the way to our spec, where you would, for example, go if you would wanted to catch this booster using the chopsticks. It will only use a partial boost back and then perform a landing burn. That landing burn is about 20 seconds long, and after that they will perform it will be a soft splashdown in the best case in the Gulf of Mexico, where the booster will, splash down in the water, and then they will try, based on FAA documentation, different ways to sink the booster. They will try to open vents, and then, if that doesn't work, try to change the orientation of the booster so the water flows into the booster so that booster sinks. And if these two things don't work, they will shoot it to sink it. So they have a backup plan for a backup plan.
Yes, the launch license specifically states that they can use firearms if needed to sink it. But a reminder, when it does sink, it is not the... it's not like we're polluting the waters or anything there. That is actually intentionally designed, and many former rocket stages and boosters that are at the bottom of the Gulf or of oceans are now used as artificial reefs for the local wildlife. So just wanted to make a note of that, and also the reference in that tip there to the reefs as well. And also a support here from Peter Shaw with the $50 tip saying, I missed SN15's flight by 15 minutes. 2 years later, get to see my first live Starship launch. Thanks to all of NSF for fostering the interest and knowledge in aerospace. Ad Astra, ad Historia. Absolutely, yes. Thank you as well for your support and for everyone who is coming through as we continue to count down below T-0 time. So we do have a window that we are currently in. Ian, do we have you back? And if so, what is the remaining launch window? So how long could they continue to go if something were to come up?
Yeah, I hope you do have me back now. The window is going to be going until 9:30 a.m. Central Time. So given that the time right now is 7:41 Central Time, we have just under 2 hours until the window closes. So even if they do need to hold a little bit here, so we're coming up now... Excuse me. So we're coming up now on T-minus 38 minutes. Even if they do have to hold a little bit, they still have a little bit of margin and a little bit of wiggle room to work with within this launch window. So still plenty of time to, in case they come in with any issues.
Sorry to interrupt again. I'm just looking. Oh, it's gone off now. But remember, a few minutes ago, I was wondering what that circular part that we could see on the Starship, but I didn't know what it was. You can't see it from that angle. It's actually the SpaceX logo, and there's actually some dots as well, circular things. I've seen them before, and I can't remember what they are. I've seen them described, and I forgot what they are, but maybe it's... I don't know, to be honest. I've forgotten. Maybe there's some sensors or something. Or there could be some tiles. That sometimes they put tiles in a pattern just to see, how well they cope with the rigours of launch, see if they fall off. So there could be them. There could be tiles. So anyway, back to the chaps.
Yes, the ship will perform a bit of a hard splashdown because there will not be like the belly flop and then re-end. Like they will not perform a horizontal flip maneuver, and they will just let the ship splash down into the Pacific Ocean. And yeah, that will be, if they get to that point, amazing. But there will we will not see a move where the ship will be used. This ship will for sure not survive this mission. That's the sad reality.
Right, and it is important to note that is planned. It is not that we are expecting that it's unexpected that it might crash or anything. This is part of SpaceX's plan and part of the license plan that they have approved with the FAA, that both the booster and the ship will splash down with no attempt at recovery. Continuing along here with more questions, let's get one over to you, Ian. Are they still expected to perform the belly flop?
Yes, so according to SpaceX documentation, they are performing a belly flop. Now, they are not performing the engine reignition to do the flip and burn. They're just going to belly flop straight into the Pacific. So that is if they make it through reentry. So if they make it through reentry, they're just going to continue on the horizontal descent, much like they did with early ships, but without any form of landing. So that's what we should be expecting about an hour and a half after liftoff.
All right, and that is something we'll absolutely keep an eye on. And a reminder that, as you said, there is no entry burn, right? It's just going to come back down because of the trajectory.
Yeah, there is no deorbit burn. After the Raptors shut off at SECO about 9 minutes after liftoff, there are no more burns of the Raptors during flight.
That is good and important to note there as we continue along here. So the vehicle itself, though, it does have those heat shield tiles on one side. That is the black side, right, Adrian? And that's part of the ship.
Yes, the black side is that's the shielded side for the for the protection system. The whole black side is basically for re-entry. That's the way how the ship would reorient itself during re-entry to survive the re-entry. These tiles are for these heat protection. But again, we'll see how that holds up. We saw on previous static fires and also on previous flights, like these shorter flights, that sometimes some of these tiles came off. So we'll see if they learned from that, if the tiles will all stick on, if some of them might be loose. So that's also a watch item that not only we have, but I bet SpaceX also has, because it's very interesting for them to see how the heat shield performs. It's very crucial that the heat shield performs well over the long period of time, as it is kind of necessary to achieve the reusability goals of Starship.
Exactly. That is one of the significant test milestones that, if they get that far, that they hope to accomplish. And a reminder that as of right now, their goal is to get to T-0, which according to the official timeline says excitement guaranteed, and emphasizes that anything beyond that is, quote, best case scenario. So that's what they would be hoping for. Elon Musk has said in the past that the main goal, of course, is to not destroy Stage 0, which is all the ground infrastructure. But one of the key milestones to keep an eye out for is Max Q. Ian, can you explain what Max Q is and why that's so important?
Yeah, so max Q is the moment of maximum dynamic stress on the vehicle. Basically, the moment where it's going through the peak aerodynamic stresses that it will experience during flight. Now, this is happening today at around T plus 55 seconds. And so, what's going to happen at that point is basically the vehicle is pushing so hard against the atmosphere, it can't get the atmosphere out of the way quickly enough. So, it's getting maximum aerodynamic pressure on it. And that's a really, really big milestone in any rocket launch, especially a test launch like Starship today, because it is a major validation of the structure of the vehicle. Now, if the vehicle passes through max Q, that means that they did their structural calculations correctly. And it is really, really, really a significant moment in a test flight. I think that if they make it through max Q today, it will be a treasure trove of data for them to go through. So max Q is a major milestone in flight.
Exactly. So that's why we're keeping an eye out for that significant milestone there as well. And that's why it's such a major part of that timeline. Of course, one of the big things would be getting to stage separation as well, which, Adrian, do we know how the stage separation is expected to work on this flight?
Yeah, based on information that Elon shared with Tim Dodd in an interview, it will appear that they will perform some sort of kick maneuver where they basically bring the ship and the booster on different kind of rotations. So it's very similar to actually how they deploy Starlinks right now. It's more about movement and rotation than about any sort of explosive or any sort of piston that drives the stages out of each other. So yeah, it will be mostly based on a probably like kick rotation movement, but we will see how that exactly works. I'm very curious how this maneuver will play out.
Exactly. I think all of us are. That'll be exciting to watch. And I do want to acknowledge some impressive support coming in here from Justin with the $500 super chat, saying, "Been watching NSF since SN8. Thanks for everything you do and all the great content. Can't wait to see this giant fly. Bacon's on me." We are so appreciative, Justin. The support that everyone has given us is unbelievably insane and unbelievably.
He might donate $500, but I bought a T-shirt.
From people like you that we can do what we are able to do every day and provide you 24/7 camera feeds from Starbase, to provide you multi-views, and to provide you this coverage today. So thank you so much, and we genuinely mean that. Thank you. And to everyone who's watching, we appreciate your support as well. Just watching, liking, and sharing is a major support for the channel as well. Getting some really good views here of the booster getting frosty. I did see a question from one of the members asking, how much fuel are we expected to see loaded into the vehicle, Ian?
Yes, we're expecting a nearly maximum propellant load. Now, in every launch vehicle, there's going to be a little bit of, I guess, void space above the liquid propellant. That's to account for boil off and things like that. So we should be expecting a full, if not nearly full, propellant load. Now, during the wet dress rehearsal, it didn't look like it was completely filled. Again, this could be that void space I was talking about that is present on every launch vehicle, or they could be slightly underfilling the tanks just for a bit of safety and to have a little bit of margin there as they're learning to work with this new launch vehicle.
Exactly. And also important that they have the vehicle fully fueled, because as of now, we do not know, and there's not expected to be any payload on board, right?
Yet there's no payload on board that we know of. There could be like little mementos, little like trinkets that they added on, but there's nothing official that we've heard of, and absolutely no useful payloads, like no satellites on board.
And just to point out this time milestone, we are now below 30 minutes to the launch of Starship.
Unbelievable. I cannot wait.
I can't believe the time is finally here. It is getting that much closer, and it is feeling real. So let's take a quick look while we have a second then at the timeline of what still remains in the countdown. Next up, we are expecting the Booster Raptor engine chill coming up. T-minus 16 minutes and 40 seconds, so about 13 minutes from right now. That is, again, chilling down the 33 Raptor V2 engines at the bottom of the vehicle, and that is getting them cooled down so that once you get the fuel going through it, they don't experience insane thermal shock and are able to get that thrust up and running. After that will be the fluid interface vent down sequence at T-minus 40 seconds, getting everything pressurized ahead of flight there, which we then should get the go for launch shortly after, ending with the liftoff at T0. Now, of interesting note is that the engine ignition sequence is at T-minus 8 seconds. So why is it taking 8 seconds, and what is the process of the ignition sequence, Adrian?
Yeah, based on what we saw with the static fire, they will not ignite all Raptor engines at the same moment. What they will do instead is ignite them in stages. They will basically power them up, not one by one, but more in groups. And then at the end, since this is also still a long sequence, they will probably perform basically a static fire. It will basically be a situation where they will have the hold down still active, throttle the engines up to 90%, and then once the launch commit criteria are all green, once the engines are all looking good, then they will command the launch clamps to release. And yeah, after that, there's no way back.
Yeah, once it lifts off, hopefully it will continue on its flight. Now, there is another vent, it looks like, coming from the top of Ship 24, right in between the chopsticks there, which we talk about those metal things there, calling them the chopsticks. For those who don't know, Ian, what are chopsticks?
Yes, the chopsticks are those two grabby arms they just pointed out there, Sawyer. Now, those are actually multi-purpose. So first off, the only purpose we've seen them perform so far is stacking of the vehicles on the orbital launch mount. So first off, they will grab the booster, stack the booster on the orbital pad, grab the Starship, and then stack Starship on top of the booster. We've seen them do that multiple times, and they seem to be great at it. It's a very effective system that doesn't have people at the pad required to stack the vehicles. Now, also what they're going to be doing in the future, this will likely be several orbital flights down the line, actually, they will attempt to catch the booster. Now, what will happen there is the chopsticks will become almost fully closed, and the booster will basically attempt to land on the chopsticks. Now, there are two grabbing points on the top of the booster that are used for lifting it. Those will also be the catch points. And we will likely not see a booster catch attempt for several flights, but we will definitely be on the lookout for that, and that will be very exciting to see.
Oh, yes. That will be down the line, as you mentioned, way down the line, but not expected to be attempted in any way, shape, or form on today's test flight. Charty, with the very generous support of 50 euro, thank you very much. Watching since Starhopper until Static Fire Test 1. Appreciate you watching, and yes, perfectly said. Enjoy this moment, everyone. Enjoy this moment. Let's rock and roll. And Martin with the $200 support as well, saying thank you for all you do. Super excited for a SpaceX launch this morning. And we are just as excited as you are, in case you can't tell, as the countdown is continuing and proceeding. As of right now, the scheduled T0, 8:18 a.m. Central Time, with the window extending until 9:30 a.m. Central Time if needed.
Nervous yawning.
Paul coming in
We're
as well
getting
here with
closer.
a $200 super chat. My first NSF Live was Hopper's Flight. It's been a fun ride. Thank you guys. And thank you for sticking with us for all that time. We appreciate everyone that is continuing to join us here. And I do want to point out we are getting word from SpaceX Mission Control that as of now, all remains go in their current countdown.
I mean, just to talk about this countdown, because we are right now in a situation where we shortly have that time. They just, even if they abort now, this was a incredibly clean attempt up until this point. Like this is the first time they are trying to launch this, and they are all the way through already to 25 minutes. This is very clean so far. They are doing great.
And a very important update as well, we are hearing that weather is currently green or go. At this point, the winds may pick up a little bit later on, but it is currently within limits. Again, this is according to SpaceX, not to the official range itself. We are hearing that the range is almost clear, though. There is currently a boat that is within the violation zone, but is in the process of being cleared, and we are hoping that that is cleared by the scheduled T0. So
Really hope
as of now,
so.
we're hearing that it seems like it's not a big deal at the moment. As mentioned, also, again, all continues to be go so far. I still can't believe that all is go at this point. While we're talking about those keep-out zones, Ian, what exactly are Note Mars and Note Tams, and why is it so important that we're keeping these ranges clear?
Yeah, so like you said, sorry, these are absolutely critical. So Note Mars, which are notices to mariners, are basically outlines of ocean area where they're saying, hey, do not go here. If you do go here, you are going to get fined and probably get your boating license revoked. Now, those keep out areas are certain areas where SpaceX and the FAA and the Coast Guard all agree, hey, in a worst case scenario, if the vehicle goes off course or if, worst case scenario, it explodes, this is where the debris is going to fall in a worst case scenario. So they clear out all that area, and there's no boaters in there. There's also NOTAMs filed, notices to air missions, which are basically Note Mars but for planes. So it's airspace that they clear out. No planes are allowed in there, and the FAA is responsible for dealing with those. Now, like you said, Sawyer, there is a boat in the range that is a violation of the Note Mar, so the Coast Guard is taking care of that right now. That boater will probably face a significant fine, and that's why those are essential to keep people safe. You don't want to have any debris risking impact on a plane, on a boat, anything like that. You want no risks to human lives at all during this mission.
Exactly, you're getting a look at some of those restricted areas before, and now we'll look at the current planned flight path, as we are now hearing that the Ship 24 methane header tank load is underway. Adrian, what are the header tanks on Ship 24?
Yeah, the header tanks will, down the line, be used for de-landing burns, because they will prevent, for example, splashing around in the tanks. Because if you have, imagine if you all put all your propellant only in one tank, then you will have a situation that during the flip burn maneuver, you will have propellants flying around in the ship, which means they're not there where you need them to ignite the engines or keep them fed with propellants. That's why you have the header tanks. It's basically a way to have compressed, non-flying around propellants for the support of the landing burns. They are filling them here probably because it's part of the flow. Again, they will not need them as they are not performing a landing burn, but they're probably still wanted to test them, still wanted to make that part of this this whole test.
Right, that is important to note that while it may not be used, they are progressing with everything that you would expect in a full Starship integrated flight countdown. So that will hopefully be used, as you mentioned, down the line. For now, though, it seems like it might just be to help balance out the mass of the vehicle and get basically an idea of, once you do load propellants on board and plan to try and land it, what are the aerodynamics, how will it fly, and what we can expect to see. we are continuing along now with the countdown as we are approaching T-minus 21 minutes now and counting. This is not like Falcon 9 where we have a T-minus 20-minute vent. At this point, though, we do occasionally see some vents coming from either the ship or the booster. Ian, why would we be seeing vents, little vents here and there?
Yes, you're seeing little vents here and there to stabilize the tank pressure. So like we said before, the Starship is filled with liquid methane and liquid oxygen. Now, those are very, very, very cold propellants. They don't like being liquid, so they will boil off naturally. Now, as they boil off, they turn, of course, into gas, which is a much higher pressure than the liquid is. Now, in order to keep the tanks at a stable pressure so they don't burst or leak or anything, they vent pressure every now and then, and that's those little puffs of gas that you see coming out of the vehicle. It's just venting off normal amounts of gaseous propellants that boil off. It's totally normal, something we're going to see up until the last few moments of the countdown, so something to keep an eye on there.
Yeah, speaking of that kind of boiling off and the gas that we're seeing there, you can see the frost continuing to build on both the.
Yeah, so the booster is basically has two tanks. One is for methane, one is for liquid oxygen. Both are cryo-cooled, which means they are very, very cold. As soon as they come out in contact with the tank wall, because on Starship, the tank wall...
He's just explaining about how cold it is, which is why we get frost and stuff. I'm just looking here on the official SpaceX feed. We're seeing some of the test flights, the SN8 high altitude test flight. I think this exploded, didn't it? It crashed. So we're going to see it. Oh no, they're not showing it. And there's SN9. I think that also exploded, didn't it? And then they skipped to SN15, which is what's on my T-shirt, and that landed with a bit of fire, but it was fine. That's what we're seeing there. Obviously, you can't hear it because of no audio. I've turned off my speakers. But yeah, cool. They're going to show it. They're going to show it blowing up. Did I mute my mic? Yes, I did. Right. Here it goes. Here it goes. Are they going to show it? I bet they don't. Oh, there we go. That went it. That's, went a bit awry, didn't it? And then we're on SM15, the one that works, the one that I've got the T-shirt for, SM15, the XV. This one successfully managed to take off, go up to several kilometres, I can't remember now, and came back down and landed. They see the rockets gimbling, them stupid little legs that they've got. And it landed. There was a bit of fire, but it was fine. And then we cut back to the live view. There was a bit more venting. If that turns off, then it's fine. Yes, it's fine. If the continuous venting, then we know that it's detanking. And you can tell when they're detanking because all the clean edges of the frosting kind of goes all rough, and because it's the propellant is lowering down in the tank. But so far so good. Everything's hunky-dory. Right, back to the chaps at NASA Spaceflight.
On time, the last that we've heard from SpaceX is that everything is proceeding as planned.
Excellent. We're up here monitoring everything that's going on. We still have all the cameras going. I know we keep switching around from all these fantastic shots, but y'all are doing great. I will not detract from all the thanks and all the commentary y'all are doing.
Well, we appreciate you jumping in and helping to keep all the cameras and everything up and running so we can get it both for the people watching right now as well as the Red Team and above members who can watch the multi-view with all the different cameras that we're cycling through. And also want to thank Spambot for their $100 super chat as well, saying
counting,
go Starship. So appreciate that. As we continue to get into the count, we are now hearing from SpaceX that booster teams are working a pressurization issue at this point. Those are the only details that we have at the moment. Waiting to see if we get any more updates on that. So we are keeping an ear out and an eye out for that, and if that will affect our T0. But I do want to say in the meantime, as this is all getting super frosty and we have the full stack getting closer to liftoff, you too can own your version of a full stack in the form of a plushie. You have the ship and the booster full stack plushies that are available now at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. It's perfect to point out that they are Velcro together, so you can separate them, and you'll be able
Well, they're
to
talking
have
about
your
their
own
plushies, which is
separation
cool, I
of
must
the
admit.
ship booster. You see all the engines on the bottom there again.
Always dread it when they say they've got an issue. So they had a pressurization issue that they're keeping an eye on. Fingers crossed it'll be okay. Hate it when they say that. I'm always thinking, hey, we're going to get a halt on the countdown. But I don't think we'll get a halt on this. They said the Falcon 9s often have a 20-minute, where they stop the countdown, where they do the final checks. But this one isn't doing that. So let's see what happens.
That this window does continue until 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Central Time. So they still have about an hour and a half to work this and any other issues that may continue to come up in the count. We are being told, though, that the orbital launch mount clamps and the quick disconnect are being configured for liftoff, which, Ian, I'll pass this to you. What are the OLM clamps and this QD that we're talking about?
Yeah, so first off, the OLM clamps are the things physically holding Starship and Superheavy to the pad right now. So there are 20 different hold-down clamps around the inner edge of the orbital launch mount. Now, those are connected to the base of the Superheavy booster, and they're holding up the weight of Starship and Superheavy right now. Now, right at liftoff, those are going to disconnect and rapidly retract into the orbital launch mount to give the booster some clearance to get away. Now, these quick disconnects that they're talking about, those are the booster and ship quick disconnects. Now, the ship quick disconnect, you can see right at the bottom of the screen. That is supplying the ship with liquid methane and liquid oxygen right now. But right down there on the orbital launch mount itself, you can see the booster quick disconnect, and that is also doing the same for the booster, supplying it with liquid oxygen, liquid methane, electricity, some data relays, and things like that. Now, those right at liftoff are going to disconnect. The booster quick disconnect will retract into that hood you can see, and it'll shut, while the ship quick disconnect will, of course, disconnect from the ship and then rapidly swing away on the launch tower. So we're going to be looking for that right at liftoff, and that is where we're sitting right now.
Yes, as you mentioned, those will retract away from the vehicle, releasing essentially any connection to the ground support equipment in the ground systems, or as it's sometimes called, Stage 0, before hopefully lifting off and continuing on the trajectory of the scheduled flight. Which, while we're waiting here as they continue to work on a pressurization issue, now might be a good time to go over, if we do get to a T0 today, what is the expected flight plan for the rest of this vehicle? Ian, do you want to take that?
I was just looking at some things in the back channel real quick.
All right. Adrian, do you have a moment then? If you want, we can go over the look at what's expected after T0, which, again, we are waiting an official T0 time as they continue to work this pressurization issue.
Sure, we can go over the mechanical stress on the rocket. At 2 minutes and 49 seconds, we will have booster main engine cutoff, hopefully, and stage separation. And then at 2 minutes and 57 seconds, we will have Starship ignition for a burn all the way over so they can get to Hawaii. That burn would last until 9 minutes and 20 seconds. And after 90 minutes, that's the plan, Starship would reach the Pacific Ocean.
Very good. We saw a little vent there coming out the side, evening out the pressurization within the tanks on board Booster 7, which you have the liquid oxygen and the liquid methane tanks that are being filled. A reminder, that is being filled on both the ship and the booster currently. You can see the levels based off of where that frost line is currently. Now, we talked about how the booster is going to be coming back and returning at some point. We did have a question that came in that was asking, there are grid fins on the vehicle that they kind of look like waffles, is the way I describe it, similar to what's used on Falcon 9 to help steer it. But why are they extended right now, and are they expected to fold? You can see them right there underneath Ship 24.
Yes, so those are not going to fold in. So the grid fins on Superheavy, partially because they're so large and partially because they don't want the complications that would be added by folding them in, the grid fins are extended for the entire flight process. In fact, they're extended from the moment they're installed until the moment it lands. Now, that is because, of course, like I said, the grid fins are very large, they're very heavy, but the main thing is SpaceX is trying to simplify this vehicle as much as possible. Having folding grid fins is not only something that can break, but also that is just added mass, and you really don't want to have any unnecessary mass.
Each
So
grid
that,
fin
along
is
with the
about as
fact that
big
the
as a
grid fins are in the
car
center
on
of the
this.
vehicle, means they don't really have any aerodynamic effects during flight. So it really doesn't have any major effects on the vehicle anyway. So just losing a bit of complication, bit of added mass, and that's why there's no folding grid fins.
All right. Yes. Good to note there. And we will expect to see that, hopefully, if it takes off. Again, at this very moment, we are currently awaiting SpaceX working to fix a pressurization issue at this point. We do not have exactly how long that is going to take or a new T0 yet. The window does extend until 9:30 a.m. Central Time. So another hour and 20 minutes from now. So there is still time to work on it and still time to fix it. We will continue to keep you updated as we get more details of the nature of the pressurization issue.
Well, for your awareness, that DOS done.
Also important to note here is that we have heard from John Innsbrucker with SpaceX that if for some reason they are unable to resolve, they will count this as a wet dress rehearsal and go with all the rest of the procedures that they would go through a countdown, just basically without the final T0, without actually lifting off. So we will continue to watch and hope, though, that they will have time to resolve this within the window. Which, here's an interesting question that we've had a couple times. I do want to bring up again.
I'm getting a
If they're
bad
not
feeling
targeting a
about
specific
these.
orbit or a specific rendezvous point, why do we have a launch window? Why can't they go all day? Adrian?
Well, it takes effort and time to completely close a range. Basically, if they would be able to go all day, that would mean you have to clear the airspace here all day. That would mean you have to clear that marine path all day, not only here, but also in the Pacific. So you basically have a lot of implications on a lot of different areas. So there's probably a middle ground where they're like, you get this window, but we cannot just reserve this all for you for just 12 hours straight. And
we have official word.
We have an update, if I may have, we have a scrub.
Yes, according to SpaceX, the flight director has called a scrub on the liftoff portion of today's attempt, but again, they are going to proceed and continue this as a wet dress rehearsal. So that means they will continue with the countdown as if they were going to a T0, but there is not going to be a liftoff today.
Yep, no liftoff. They will just do a wet dress rehearsal and then stop the clocks before the engines ignite.
Pooh!
But they got close.
Pooh! So, lower them down. Oh, that's rubbish. That's rubbish. I'm fed up now. I said they were getting a bad feeling, didn't I? And I said it were more than likely that it were going to not happen today. So I don't know when the next window is. We'll have to wait and see what happens, see what the next window is. But they're classing it as a wet dress rehearsal, so they'll carry on with the full fuel, and then they'll detank, I presume, and wait for another day. Let's see what the lads say.
They probably will confirm a new day where they target all of this, but they got close. It was only minutes away before they called the scrub here, and yeah, we will see how the week plans out from here on.
Yeah, I mean, for a first flight of a pretty much brand new rocket, I'd say this was a good first attempt. Of course, it's not the outcome that we're looking for or we were hoping for, but teams are still getting a phenomenal amount of data on how the ground support worked, how the ship and booster system worked, of course, how their assets worked, of course, like the mission control, the Coast Guard, the FAA, the WB-57 all coming together for this. So it was a great test of everything, and I'm sure the next attempt is going to be even better.
Exactly. Up note, the the launch license for this particular one had launch dates available of the 17th, 18th, and 19th. That does not mean that those are the next dates that they will take, so that does not mean that we have a guaranteed attempt on the 18th, and that doesn't rule out future launch dates, such as the highly anticipated 20th, which I know Elon has teased before. We are getting told from SpaceX that teams will hold and, again, as we mentioned, go for the scrub at T-minus 10 seconds, which is normal for a wet dress rehearsal. The only issue was a pressurization issue. So this will be a good way to test all of the rest of the procedures. And again, that is the update from SpaceX, that they're going to continue to test the rest of the procedures until T-minus 10 seconds, and that up to this point, the only issue they encountered was this pressurization issue. And we will also keep an ear out to see if there is any update on when we might get a new launch date, and that is all dependent as well.
Elon Musk has tweeted, a pressurant valve appears to be frozen, so unless it starts operating soon, no launch today. And obviously that's what happened. Let's see what else is said on Twitter. I think that's it, isn't it? That's all he said about this.
They need this pressurization
Yeah.
because there's usually
So
like
there you go.
certain
That's why a
pressure
pressurant
on
valve
space,
throws
start up a rocket,
poo.
how it works, how you feed
So hopefully
the
they'll sort that out
engine.
soon.
And if that is not correct, you cannot go. It's just a very minor thing in the end, but today it was the reason that Starship will not go to space.
Yes, and a reminder, even though we may not be launching right now, the test is ongoing. They will continue, we are told, to the T-minus 10 second mark. Normally they would hold at T-minus 40 seconds during the wet dress rehearsal. They are not going to do that today, so they will continue through to T-minus 10 seconds and scrub, which will likely be followed by detanking. So Ian, what would be the rest of the procedure if we were continuing to, what should we expect, I guess, until T-minus 10 seconds?
Yeah, so there's going to be a few things coming up. Basically, just getting the vehicle situated and ready for flight. So at 16 minutes, which we have passed already, we would begin the Raptor chill on the booster. That's likely underway right now as well. T-minus 40 seconds would be the next major milestone. That's when they begin to vent down all the fluids on board the vehicle. So final vents of the tanks, final vents of the GSE, get everything then sealed up and ready for flight. Coming down to T-minus 8 seconds, which will not happen today, they would have began starting up the Raptor engines. Now, this would be a staggered ignition, meaning they don't ignite all 33 at once, because that would be a very, very sudden acceleration and very sudden force on the base of the vehicle. So instead, they ignite the engines one at a time, several milliseconds apart. It's pretty tough to tell with your own eye. But so that'd be 8 seconds right before liftoff, they would begin igniting the engines. They will begin ramping up the full thrust ahead of liftoff, and if everything looked good on the vehicle, they would have lifted off at T0. But unfortunately, like we said, they are scrubbing for the day due to a pressurization issue on the vehicle. And we'll keep you all updated if we hear anything on future launch dates.
Yeah, as well as they continue on this test, we'll keep an ear out to see if any other potential issues may pop up. But again, regardless, they are not going to launch today. So in terms of emptying the vehicle, which right now we see that it is still very frosty and very full of these propellants. So it is still a very active vehicle right now. But what is
So they're
the
going to
deal
T
with
minus 10
detanking,
seconds. They're
and
still on
what is the
2
deal as well in
minutes.
terms of the
2
amount of
minutes 50
fuel
to
that they
go.
would be able to save and what they have as a backup for a future attempt? Adrian?
Sorry, there were people moving around here on the roof. Could you repeat that question for me quickly, please?
Sure. While right now the vehicle, of course, is cold and fueled still, once that's done, what will the detank procedure look like, and can any of this fuel be saved?
They will try to save a lot of this fuel. That's why they have the recondenser mechanism. The recondenser is basically exactly that. It tries to recondense some of the too hot gases again into.
I'm sorry to interrupt for one quick second. I will let you finish that in just a second. We have a tweet from Elon saying a pressurant valve appears to be frozen. So unless it starts operating, no launch today. So it appears that a valve was frozen was the issue. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there. Just wanted to give that update as for the wet dress rehearsal portion, the booster propellant load is complete, and the ship propellant load is wrapping up as they top off the header tanks. Excuse me.
And that's a very good reason to interrupt me, because we need these updates. And again, it was a good attempt. And yes, they will try to save as much fuel as they possibly can, and because it's not easy to get fuel here. And once that is done, they then will probably perform one final big vent where they release all the gaseous part of, for example, the liquid oxygen, which is, there's like a part which you can no longer save. There's a part that is just, you need to let that out as gas. And once that is done, the vehicle will be depressurized and then probably repressurized with ambient pressure to have complete structural stability, and then it's completely safe.
So, Adrian, hey, I got a question. How many tankers do they need to roll out there to replenish the tank farm, what they use today?
I know there's people that have the exact number, but if I remember correctly, it was about 120 tankers.
120 tankers.
Depending on the liquid.
Exactly what they did and what they reclaimed and stuff, yeah. Good grief. How are we looking, Sawyer?
As of right now, they are in the T-minus 40-second and holding mark of the wet dress rehearsal. Again, the launch portion of today appears to have been scrubbed, although the latest tweet from Elon Musk, again, saying a pressurant valve appears to be frozen, so unless it starts operating soon, no launch today. And they had originally stated they would not be holding at T-minus 40 seconds, but we are being told now from SpaceX that they are in a T-minus 40-second hold. So we are continuing to keep an eye on these latest updates that we are still getting. Again, the vehicle still fully frosty and almost fully fueled. We are now getting the update that we will hold here for a bit, according to SpaceX, and run to T-minus 10 seconds. So we will take this countdown to T-minus 10 seconds. Engine ignition is somewhere between T-minus 8 and 6 seconds, so we will not get to that point. Again, making this a wet dress rehearsal.
Did anybody say they'll say the line, Sawyer?
Which one? It's better to be...
Scrubs, not Ruds.
Yeah.
No, Sawyer's got it.
It's better to be on the ground.
I've just seen on the SpaceX feed, it's just gone off. They said they were going off air, and they said it'd be a minimum of 48 hours for another attempt. So it'll be, what we on? So it'll be like Wednesday at the earliest. So there we go. So I'll shut them up. So that's it. No launch today, unfortunately. This is one of their views, isn't it? From a distance, there you can see the rocket in the distance at South Padre, at Boca Chica. This is probably from South Padre Island, I should imagine. But there we go. So I might as well bugger off now, aren't I? So I'm going to move all my stuff back to where it was. All my paraphernalia. There we go. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. I'll do it afterwards. Never mind. So thanks to the people that joined in, and unfortunately, we didn't see a launch, which is I'm a bit miffed. I did say, it was expected. It were more likely that, it wouldn't happen, but it's still annoying, isn't it? But, I had my fingers crossed that it would happen, but it didn't happen, and so we've got to wait for another day. So when that day comes, I'll do another live stream, if I can, if I've got the time available. Hopefully we'll have, but it'll be at least Wednesday, according to the people at SpaceX. Oh, it's gone off now, look. It's gone off now. Right, so we'll get out of that. Anyway, what we got that we can watch while I talk for a minute. No, don't bloody adverts, go away. Oh, it won't let me. Oh, never mind, Get out of it. Right. I think we'll have the news, won't we? Whatever. I don't know. Anyway. Right. So, I'm going to bugger off now. So, I'm fed up. I might do a news story later on about the usual stuff I do. If there's anything that catches my eye. But until then, or until the next launch attempt, wherever you are, look after each other. And until next time, I'll say they.